Chapter 401, C403 Satu Yan who can't figure it out. Let Yi become the holy envoy, replacing the holy saint of the Light Clan to manage the Kunlun realm. For a moment, they could not accept the conditions offered by Satu Yan. Especially Go Buli, they were all stunned. That was a holy saint. An existence beyond the immortal emperor. In the past, when the Kunlun realm was at its most glorious, there were only 4 of them. You can imagine how powerful the holy saint is. And the holy envoy is the spokesperson of the holy saint. His every move can represent the holy saint behind the scenes. His status is definitely higher than that of the immortal emperor. But the most terrifying thing is the ambition revealed by Satu Yan's words. Obviously, the Light Clan wants to swallow up the entire Kunlun realm. Holy saint, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Hearing this new word, he realized that this must be a realm above the immortal emperor. What's interesting is that the other party knew the fate he would face after the plan failed, so he wanted to use the resources of the family to negotiate with him and take the opportunity to win him over. Birdman, there is no need to use this delaying tactic, right? It doesn't matter if you cheat others, but don't cheat yourself. Yi Junlin shook his head and was about to swing his sword again. Satu Yan was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat and said anxiously, "Your Excellency Yi Tiandi, what I said is true. I can make a great oath to guarantee that if the Light Clan descends on Kunlun realm in the future, I will strongly recommend you to the saints in the clan as the holy envoy." He was really afraid of dying like this, so he had to seize every opportunity to struggle. Although it would be shameful to beg for mercy from someone he hated, there was no other way to survive. Besides, the other party's strength and qualifications were so strong that if he recommended him to the saints in the clan, the success rate would be almost 100%. The premise was that Yi Junlin must be willing to be loyal to the Light Clan, become a running dog of the Light Clan from now on, and leave an irresistible soul mark forever. This is the price of becoming a holy envoy. But Satu Yan felt that being able to serve the saint, what was this price? You know, looking at the countless planets in the universe, there are countless creatures who want to become saints, because it means that from now on, there will be a big backer, no one dares to provoke, and they can give orders and enjoy extremely high treatment. And in the Light Clan, there are only a handful of saints. For example, the saints under the command of the more powerful saints are even higher in status than him, a direct member. After all, this kind of saint is only dispatched by the saints behind the scenes, and even the orders of the patriarch of the Light Clan can be obeyed in secret, and they really listen to orders but not announcements. Therefore, in Satu Yan's view, the temptation of this condition is absolutely huge. If he was not in a life and death crisis, he would be forced to find a way to survive, and he really didn't want to give Yi Junlin this opportunity to climb up. "Don't be silly, do you think I care?" Yi Junlin didn't take it to heart at all, and sneered and slashed a sword. Swish, the golden sword light cut through the sky, and the huge sword energy was like a pillar, as if it was going to pierce the sky. Satu Yan was shocked and angry. He never expected that Yi Junlin would be so arrogant and even disdained the offer of the Light Clan. He suddenly thought of something and clenched his teeth. He grabbed the ring of order in his hand, injected all his strength into it, and then threw it fiercely downward. Swish, the ring of order turned into a silver sun and flew away. The surface was full of cracks, and the terrifying aura of destruction was spreading. As a treasure of the Light Clan, if it exploded, the destructive power would be absolutely terrible. In a hurry, Satu Yan could not care so much. He immediately thought about causing some trouble to Yi Junlin and buying some time for his escape. At the same time, Satu Yan flapped his white wings, burning the blood in his body crazily, and used the clan's flying secret technique to escape far away. If he could escape this time, he swore that unless the Saint Agreement was torn up and the strong men of the Light Clan invaded the Kunlun realm in the later period, he would never show up again. After experiencing this incident, Satu Yan finally understood that as long as Yi Junlin, this freak, was there, the tasks assigned by the clan would be impossible to complete. He still accepted his fate honestly and waited for the major forces outside the domain to officially divide the Kunlun realm in the future. He would run to meet with the clan members. At least his life was still there. Why bother to fight to the death? Boom! In an instant, the ring of order exploded. The terrifying explosive force spread rapidly, and it seemed as if it was as vast as the sea, and the white sea of thunder and lightning seemed to swallow up the vast area, causing a doomsday scene where no grass would grow. Chila, the golden sword light fell into the sea of thunder and lightning, and could only stir up faint ripples, which had some effect but not much. Realizing that this power was rare in his life, Yi Junlin directly took real action. The immortal wheel suspended behind him turned 10 times in an instant. Soon, a boundless force emerged from his body, like millions of volcanoes erupting, and Yi Junline's aura soared into the sky, covering the sky and the earth. His silver hair was flying, his eyes were like lightning, every inch of his skin was glowing, his immortal muscles and bones were jade-like, and his posture was unprecedentedly powerful. The real heaven and earth, I am the only one. Swish swish swish. Yi Junline's state reached its peak, holding a sword in one hand and slashing out countless sword beams, containing terrifying Taoist sword intent. In an instant, the sea of thunder and lightning that was enough to annihilate the area within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, and even the immortal master would fall, was covered by the criss-crossing golden sword beams, and it directly disintegrated inch by inch. The visual effect is very shocking. Oh my god, this kind of strength. The monks witnessed all this with admiration on their faces. Master, that birdman has escaped. Li Wuji said unwillingly. He can't escape this time. In a flash, Yi Junline had already locked onto Situ Yan's aura, and used the Great Void technique to teleport and intercept Situ Yan. Situ Yan thought he could escape smoothly, but a familiar figure appeared in the void in front of him, scaring him to death. He quickly braked and forced himself to stop. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Yi Junline stood in the air with a sword in his hand, with a playful smile on his lips. Situ Yan was very scared and desperate, and he shouted out of control. Yi Junline, why do you have to do this? Do you think you can protect this world by killing me? Wrong, very wrong. Our invasion of Kunlun realm is still in its early stages. Because of the Saint agreement, the saints of the major worlds will not attack you. But if you fail to get it, the agreement will be torn apart, and the saints will do it themselves. Even if the heavenly Tao of Kunlun realm stands up in the end, it will be weak and will be suppressed. By then, without the protection of the heavenly Tao, all the creatures in this world will be what will happen. You know it best. Quote. Calm down and think about the conditions I put forward to you. As long as you are willing to surrender to the Light Clan and help the Light Clan take over the Kunlun realm in the early stage, you will be a great contributor to my clan. In a sense, you can also protect the creatures of the Kunlun realm, right? Why fight to the death and hurt both sides? If I die, and the Kunlun realm is conquered in the future, your fate will be even more miserable. Not only will you harm yourself, but you will also harm everyone who will be implicated with you. Situ Yan's brain turned quickly, and out of the instinct of survival, he frantically talked and tried to shake Yi Junline's killing intention against him. To be honest, if it were someone with weak beliefs, he would really be persuaded by these words. Because from the overall perspective, the power of the Kunlun realm is too weak, just like a piece of fat meat that is coveted by major forces in the universe. From beginning to end, it is just a game about resource allocation. Even in the end, they will simply tear their faces apart and directly send out saints to intervene in this game to achieve their own ulterior motives. If according to Situ Yan's statement, if they can surrender to the Light Clan earlier, perhaps they can save Kunlun realm from being invaded by more forces. Are you saying that the saints will take action against Kunlun realm in the future? Yi Junline's smile was meaningful. Then I hope that more and more people will come, and I would like to extend my warm welcome. What? Hearing this unexpected answer, Situ Yan was dumbfounded on the spot. He originally thought that the other party would feel uneasy, but the result was this extremely expected reaction. Every saint can kill the immortal emperor with a snap of his fingers. Even if you are Yi Tiandi, who was known as the strongest immortal emperor in ancient times, what ability do you have to deal with the saints? What's more, what Kunlun realm will face in the future is a group of saints from various worlds. How dare you, Yi Junline? Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error, or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 402, C404. The dust has settled. According to what Situ Yan said, saints from all major worlds may personally intervene in the Kunlun realm in the future. If it were someone else who heard the news, their first reaction would be panic. But Yi Junline was an outlier, and he was very pleasantly surprised. Because when the time comes, he will be able to break away from the immortal level and become a real strong man in the holy realm. Who can refuse such a big experience package? There is no need to practice hard, you can improve your cultivation as long as you encounter it. Who knows this flying feeling? Therefore, Yi Junline sincerely hopes that as more and more powerful saints come to Kunlun realm, he will treat them well in a unique way. For this reason, Situ Yan's threat was counterproductive and had no effect on a weirdo like Yi Junline. He didn't know that in the eyes of this young man, Those saints who were so superior that they could kill the immortal emperor with a snap of their fingers were nothing more than experience for upgrading. Fear doesn't exist. Birdman, if these were your last words, you can die now. Yi Junlin sneered and raised his sword above his head. The blade of the sword shone with golden light and was sacred and inviolable. Wait, the crisis of death was extremely strong in his heart. Situ Yan's hair stood on end instantly, and the blood in his body became freezing to the bone. He felt very desperate and helpless, as well as deeply regretful. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come to this shabby place to perform my mission. Now that the mission has not been completed, even my own life is at risk, so I have failed. Die! Yi Junlin slashed forward with his sword. Whoa, the golden sword light was as bright as the sun, releasing a terrifying aura and flying towards Situ Yan. I'll fight with you. Situ Yan, who was forced into a corner, looked filled with grief and anger as he desperately used his most powerful killing move, which cost him half his life. The secret method passed down directly from the Guangming clan, the Holy Seal of Guangming. This method is a fragment of a holy technique. Although it is incomplete, it can be ranked as a high-level supreme method among immortal methods. Only those who are powerful in the immortal emperor realm are barely qualified to use it. And Situ Yan paid an extremely high price to perform this trick. Even if he survived in the end, his condition would plummet and his body would be irreversibly damaged. But in order to survive, Situ Yan can't control so much. Rumble. The sky is filled with sacred light, and golden marks as big as mountains emerge, flowing with various ancient and mysterious runes. Situ Yan was bleeding from all his orifices and his eyes were about to burst. He yelled hysterically, "Kill!" It is true that Situ Yan has the 9 revolutions of the immortal wheel and is a direct member of the Guangming clan, with superior combat power, but under Yi Junlin's sword swing with all his strength, it is obvious that it is far from enough. Boom! The huge golden sword light penetrated the sky, smashed the sacred mark, and shrouded the unbelievable Situ Yan. Before he died, Situ Yan was dumbfounded, and many pictures flashed through his mind, like a horse watching a lantern. Situ Yan was born into a noble family. He was the son of the leader of the Guangming clan. He had the purest bloodline and first-class qualifications. Logically, he should be the one to attract the most attention, but he had a brother who was even more powerful than him, Situ Kong. Compared to his younger brother Situ Yan, a genius like him, Situ Kong is simply a peerless evil being. Not only is he super intelligent, but his natural affinity for light spells is top-notch. He also possesses the extremely rare holy body of light, which makes him the future leader of the Light Clan. The power of the Holy Realm. Just a few years older than his younger brother, Situ Kong's cultivation is already at the 9th level of the Immortal Emperor, and now he is only one step away from becoming a saint. Because Situ Kong's existence is too dazzling, his reputation is almost universally spread in the heaven world, while his younger brother Sikong Yan is overshadowed by his light and eclipsed. This also led to the fact that the words Sikong Yan heard the most since he was a child were the praises about his brother. Over time, Situ Yan's heart became extremely unbalanced, and he wanted to do something spectacular to prove his ability and enhance his sense of existence. Then, the opportunity came, and Situ Yan overcame all objections to accept the mission and sneaked into the Kunlun realm to carry out a plan to occupy it in advance. Who would have imagined that he would encounter a nightmare and terrifying opponent here? A man named Yi Junlin, with an invincible attitude, crushed all his ambitions, self-esteem and pride. At this time, on the verge of death, with the figure he had envied since childhood fixed in his mind, Situ Yan broke his guard on the spot, crying like a child, and said with tears streaming down his face, "Brother, save me." As soon as he finished speaking, the whole person was annihilated by the golden sword light, and his soul was scattered. Done, call it a day. Yi Junlin turned around and left gracefully. Return to Qingyongdao Palace. The stick of incense has long passed, and everyone's cultivation has been restored. They were still feeling incredible about everything that happened today, and at the same time they were extremely grateful that Leader Yi took action to turn the tide. Seeing Yi Junlin come back, the monks present stepped forward and held their hands in front of them, saying thanks in a respectful tone. "Thank you, Leader Yi, for coming to the rescue. We are deeply grateful." The sound was deafening, resounding through the sky. Countless people looked at Yi Junlin with fanatical eyes, just like believers looking at gods. Among them, Hong Chenyi secretly lamented that just like in the East region, the monks here were also convinced of their master. After all, such a strong man is so unyielding. Fellow Taoists, no courtesy. Yi Junlin waved his hand and said with an easygoing smile, "Everyone has seen that this incident was purely an oolong incident. The enemy used Long Aotian's identity to lure us into a trap. It was all a misunderstanding. The monks nodded, hating Situ Yan and the others deeply. Leader Yi, the future situation of Kunlun realm is worrying. How should we deal with future crises? Suddenly, a demon clan said worriedly. Hey, I think about the most glorious period of our Kunlun world, when there were 4 saints sitting in charge. Unexpectedly, something unexpected happened, and it has declined since then. Now even the Light Clan and the Undead Vampire Clan dare to sneak in and cause damage. Another male the monk sighed. Yes, not to mention that there are saints on the enemy's side. We don't even have a saint here. How can we resist them? I really hope they don't come to Kunlun realm. A middle-aged man said worriedly. Although the current crisis has been lifted, the darkness shrouding the Kunlun world still prevents everyone from seeing the future. Suddenly, the atmosphere became depressing and dull. Yi Junlin was speechless. That's what you said. If those guys don't come, how can I improve my cultivation? Apart from going to the immortal realm, the monks here can only stay in the Kunlun realm for the rest of their lives. The problem is that the passage to the immortal realm is now suspected to be destroyed, and he cannot sense the opportunity to ascend. If you want to break through the immortal lord, even the immortal emperor, or even the legendary saint, you need to rely on external factors. Therefore, unlike everyone who is worried, Yi Junlin is gearing up and looking forward to it. Don't worry, as long as Yi is here, the Kunlun world will be able to be defended. Even if the saint comes, I will be sure to kill him then. Yi Junlin's eyes were straight and his tone was sonorous and powerful, containing an indescribable sense of domineering and oppression. What? Qinglian Sword Immortal and others were stunned. As strong as a saint, Leader Yi can also kill him. Afterwards, he calmed down and thought about it carefully, recalling the origin of this young man. His eyes became brighter and brighter, and hope filled his heart. Before, they all wondered why this ancient giant did not stay in the immortal world, but insisted on sleeping in the lonely Kunlun world. There was only one reason, and that was to secretly plan to deal with the invasion from outside the territory. At the same time, in the current Kunlun world, become a saint. This move has a far-reaching goal and can be described as earth-shattering. Thinking of this, Qinglian Sword Immortal and the others admired Yi Junlin even more, and their eyes suddenly changed. I hope you will seize the moment and look to the future. The Kunlun realm will not perish, let alone fall. Yi Junlin made a loud noise, and the sound echoed between heaven and earth. Well said. Li Wuji was the first to jump out and praise him, his face flushed and he clapped his hands excitedly. Everyone's blood boiled when they heard it, and they applauded. The confidence they had lost just now was regained, and their belief in becoming stronger was even stronger. Feeling the unity of the people, Go Buli sighed secretly. I didn't expect that this person blessed by heaven would have such leadership style. I became curious about how far the Kunlun world would go under his leadership. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, Go Buli caught a glimpse of a stunning figure, turning away from the crowd. That's Qin Ruyan's figure. What happened today had a great psychological impact on her. At this time, she said nothing and turned around silently to leave. She just wanted to go back to practice rigorously and become stronger. Hey, how can this feeling be so similar? Go Buli's dog eyes stared straight, as if a turbulent wave was rising in his heart. This move happened to attract the attention of Lin Dusho next to him. Lin Dusho patted the other party's shoulder and said sincerely, Senior Go, humans and dogs have different paths, so you should take care of yourself. Go Buli, did I provoke you? Why are you making baseless and malicious assumptions about me? Go Buli, whose thoughts were interrupted, said angrily, get out. Be careful I bite you. As he spoke, he bared his big sharp white teeth, and the expression on the dog's face was very fierce. See this. Lin Dusho was so frightened that she quickly turned around and ran away, covering her buttocks with both hands as she ran. Slip away, slip away. After the incident ended, as the truth was revealed, the majority of monks in the Central Territory felt a sense of fear. Has the penetration of foreign races into the Kunlun realm reached this point? How hateful. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Yi Meng's main force turned the tide. The universe is vast and the starry sky is extremely vast. A large world far away from the Kunlun world suddenly shook. This is the world of heaven, and there is a sacred and peaceful atmosphere everywhere. At this time, countless men and women of the Light Tribe feel panicked, kneeling down in fear in a certain direction, and trembling. Behind their backs, they all have a pair of snow-white wings and halos of different colors above their heads, representing different identities. Sikong family. The atmosphere was very depressing, as if the sky was about to fall. Who killed my Yunur? Deep in the ancestral land, there was a middle-aged man wearing a spotless white robe, with blonde hair braided in wild braids, a furious face, and let out a deafening roar. He is the leader of the Guangming clan. Yun'er, let me show you which bold native killed you. Situ Tian gritted his teeth and said. This person's body is boiling with pure holy energy, which also means that he is a strong person in the holy realm. Facing the death of his second son, Situ Tian's heart ached like a knife. He initially disagreed with Situ Yan going to Kunlun realm to perform a mission, but he couldn't stand Situ Yan's pleading, so he reluctantly agreed. In fact, there is another point. Situ Tian felt that Kunlun realm had long been desolate, and there were few strong people left inside. Moreover, his second son was also a world-class genius, and with the family's treasure, the Ring of Order, he should be invincible in a place like Kunlun realm. As a result, reality slapped him in the face. Just now, Situ Yan's life lamp dissipated, which was undoubtedly a huge blow to his father Situ Tian. In the declining Kunlun realm, there was such a talented monster. Even his second son, who had made all the preparations, could not defeat the other party. As a father, Situ Tian felt unbelievable, and then he was infinitely angry. The hatred of killing his son is irreconcilable. As his thoughts turned, Situ Tian closed his eyes and began to deduce. The holy energy in his body rolled like waves, and the terrifying holy power rose and fell in his body. In his mind, the memory of his second son before his death suddenly appeared, and the picture finally stopped at a peerless figure with long white hair and a golden sword in hand. Swish! Situ Tian suddenly opened his eyes were full of bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth and said with deep hatred. Yi Junline, Chapter 403, C405 My stupid brother. Soon, the news of Situ Yan's death swept the Light Clan like a storm, causing a huge shock. Although he was often ignored by the outside world because of his brother's glory, his identity was there after all. His death in Kunlun realm this time made many clansmen feel incredible. And the specific information about the murderer was also announced by the clan leader Situ Tian, who listed him as the first target to be killed in the future and the enemy of the Light Clan. Indeed, he was very angry after losing his beloved son, and he wanted to kill Kunlun realm and settle accounts with the culprit. But the Saint agreement was here. If he acted rashly, it would be a blatant violation of the agreement, which would cause dissatisfaction among the saints of the major worlds, and even the Lord of the Divine Court would not allow him to do so. Because this game also involved the struggle between Juyu and the Divine Court, if the Light Clan broke the rules first, it would be an enemy of the forces of the entire universe and the consequences would be very serious. Therefore, even if the clan leader Situ Tian was very annoyed, he could only endure it due to the situation and prepare to settle accounts with the murderer after the agreement was invalidated. At this time, on the affiliated planet of the Heaven Realm, this planet is filled with hazy brilliance, and the mountains and soil are all silver white. Looking around, it looks like a giant silver white sphere, quietly suspended. This planet is very special and has a high status in the Heaven Galaxy, only because the owner behind it is the young patriarch of the Light Clan, Situ Kong. Situ Kong has the holy body of light, extraordinary comprehension, and has cultivated to the 9th heaven of the immortal emperor at a young age. He is the recognized leader of the younger generation of the Heaven Realm. Throughout the universe, his reputation is also extremely loud. After all, in the eyes of the outside world, Situ Kong is definitely a future saint, and he may even surpass many saints and walk at the forefront of the saint road. Even the Undead Blood Clan regards it as a huge hidden danger and wants to deal with it as soon as possible. On the highest peak of this planet, there is a young man wearing a silver white robe, a fluttering jade belt, and a head of golden hair scattered around his waist. He is handsome. He sits cross-legged on the top of the mountain, surrounded by various extraordinary immortal visions, shocking the ancient and modern times. Above his head, a crown-like phantom also appeared, with an extremely sacred aura that made billions of creatures submit. This is the crown of the immortal way that only the immortal emperor can condense. The level of the crown of the immortal way is linked to the improvement of combat power and the future prospects of being promoted to a saint. The crown of the immortal way on the head of this young man is of the legendary top level, which also marks his unique growth qualifications. Situ Kong closed his eyes, his face was calm, and he sat cross-legged like a rock, as if he had merged into the ethereal avenue. At this moment, a communication light symbol broke through the sky and fell from the sky in front of Situ Kong. Situ Kong frowned, released his mental power, and read the content of the communication light symbol. The next second, he opened his eyes, a sharp light burst out of his eyes, and a surging momentum was released from his body. Rumble. The whole planet was shaking violently, and the endless silver mountains and rivers were collapsing, raising rolling dust. The scene was very terrifying. Through the communication light symbol, Situ Kong learned about the death of his younger brother Situ Yan, and he also learned about the origin of the murderer. Recalling the angry figure in his mind, Situ Kong's cold and indifferent expression changed a little, his eyes contained a hint of sadness, and he sighed helplessly. My stupid brother. As an elder brother, Situ Kong knew very well that his younger brother wanted to show off, just to prove himself. The reason why he didn't stop it was not because he didn't care, but because he felt that in that declining world, there were few opponents for his younger brother Situ Yan. At worst, there were also treasures in the clan as a support, and there was no possibility of losing. But the facts were beyond his expectations. There was a man named Yi Junlin who killed his younger brother with a sword. According to intelligence, the other party was once the strongest immortal emperor in the ancient Kunlun world, known as Yi Tiandi. Situ Kong was also surprised by this. You, Emperor Yi Tian, didn't stay in the immortal realm back then, but chose to stay in Kunlun realm. You are determined to go against us, right? Situ Kong dared to conclude that his brother must have offered generous conditions before his death, and coerced and lured the man named Yi Junlin. And his brother's death also meant that the negotiations broke down. The other party was not afraid of the threat of the Light Clan at all and insisted on fighting to the end. Just ask, what kind of arrogant guy is this? Okay, very good. Situ Kong's mouth curled up a sneer, and his heart was already filled with murderous intent. Emperor Yi Tian, when I am promoted to a saint and come to Kunlun realm, I wonder what your expression will be then. You know, no matter how strong the immortal emperor is, he is an ant in the eyes of the saint. You are a frog in the well, and you know nothing about the real power. The news about Situ Yan's death was soon leaked out, and all forces in the universe felt gloating after learning the inside story. After all, without sending out saints, it is absolutely hellish to infiltrate the interior of Kunlun realm. Many powerful forces cannot do this. And the defeat of the Light Clan this time is also welcomed by many powerful people. At the same time, they also re-examined the foundation of Kunlun realm and felt that it should not be underestimated. Central Region, Xuantian Holy Land. Why are you here again? Hong Chenny folded his arms and looked at Long Aotian with a complicated expression in front of him, and said coldly. Noticing the change in the attitude of the red-clothed immortal, Long Aotian felt very uncomfortable. He knew that the other party was cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and actually cared about his safety. On the surface, he was asking why you came again, but in fact, there was a second meaning in his words, which was, why did you come just now? For this, Long Aotian felt both guilty and ashamed. Since Shui Tu died, the dark blood ring was also destroyed. Long Aotian, who had successfully escaped, was furious. He first slapped Dabu to death who was trying to escape, and then set off to the outside world to inquire about the news. After learning the whole story, Long Aotian was shocked and angry, and deeply afraid. Fortunately, no big mistake was made because of him. Therefore, Long Aotian waited until the storm subsided and came to Xuantian Holy Land to apologize, hoping that Master Yi could forgive his mistakes. Chenny, I came this time, first to see you, and second to apologize to Master Yi. Long Aotian said sincerely. No need. Hong Chenny was frightened by being looked at, and quickly turned around and left, and felt a little better. But this action, in Long Aotian's eyes, could not help but smile evilly, secretly proud. Haha, shy, my damn charm. Then, Long Aotian was taken to a small courtyard. Looking at the silver-haired young man leaning on the reclining chair, his expression changed slightly, and he hurried over, knelt on one knee, clasped his fists and said in a deep voice. Leader Yi, it is Long who is useless and fell into the enemy's trap, which led to such a ridiculous farce. I came here to apologize today, and I hope that Master Yi will punish me. Yi Junlin had nothing to do, and he was holding 2 Layan walnuts in his hand, and said with a relaxed face. Xiaolong, get up, it's not your fault, you are also a victim, and the matter has been resolved. After being forgiven, Long Aotian stood up hesitantly, wanting to say something but stopping, as if he had something to hide. Do you have anything else? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. Long Aotian gritted his teeth and clasped his fists as if he had made up his mind, saying, Alliance Master Yi, I know this is abrupt, but you said before that I can come to you to learn from you after I improve my cultivation. Do you think it still counts? Of course it counts. Yi Junlin's eyes lit up and he immediately perked up. At that time, he let Long Aotian go, mainly thinking of cutting leaks. Now that the other party took the initiative to deliver it to his door, how could he refuse? Long is not talented. Recently, my cultivation has returned to its heyday, so I thought of asking for advice from Alliance Master Yi. This time I will be doubly careful and go all out. As he said, Long Aoshin released the powerful aura of the ninth heaven of the Immortal Emperor, opened the dragon man form that is most suitable for fighting, and soared across the sky with a swish, looking down at Yi Junlin below. His eyes were full of fighting spirit, and his blood was boiling, which was much stronger than the last time. Not bad, not bad. Yi Junlin nodded, with admiration in his eyes, as if he saw the realm of the Immortal Lord waving at him. Why do you want to fight right away? Lin Dusho and the others looked strange. This Long Aoshin is really a war-loving maniac. Although this kid is very arrogant, he knows how to keep making progress. On the other hand, fellow Taoist Yi has been too casual recently. In my opinion, the outcome of this battle may be full of suspense. Go Buli stroked his beard pretending to be deep and said earnestly, you must understand that becoming stronger is inseparable from hard work and struggle. We cultivators must not be tired. Well said, I will reward you with a bone. Yi Junlin took out the big bone stick rewarded by the system and shook it at Go Buli. Seeing the tempting big bone stick, Go Buli instantly lost his image, his eyes sparkled, drooling at the corners of his mouth, excitedly lying on the ground shaking his tail and barking. Yi Junlin threw the big bone stick casually, and it drew a perfect arc in the air. Before it landed, Go Buli pounced on it and bit it in his mouth. He held the big bone and licked it immersively, looking like he was enjoying it. Ah, everyone couldn't bear to watch it. With such a look, what great truths can you talk about? Just take a break if you have nothing to do. At this time, Long Aoshin's dragon blood was boiling, and his state reached its peak. Thinking of the scene of being trapped that day, he couldn't help but get angry and his anger surged. In anger, Long Aoshin raised his head and opened his mouth, as if holding a pearl in his mouth. A dark red lightning ball quickly condensed, releasing a terrifying breath of destruction. Boom, the sky was dark and the sun was eclipsed. Countless disciples and elders of Xuantian Holy Land were terrified. Is this what Long Aoshin relies on this time? Li Wuji and the others were numbed. It must be said that if this kind of thing is sprayed out, any immortal emperor will be shot directly. Interesting. Swish, Yi Junlin came to the opposite side of Long Aoshin, raised his hand with interest, and indicated that he would catch it with one hand. Seeing this action, Long Aoshin suddenly felt that he was looked down upon, and a terrifying red light burst out of his eyes, and he gathered his strength to spray a terrifying energy shock wave forward. Swish, the dark red energy shock wave penetrated the sky and earth, broke through the vast sky, and enveloped Yi Junlin, who was as small as an ant. Ding, the host is detected to be attacked by an enemy of the ninth heaven of the Immortal Emperor. Now the passive effect of being stronger when encountering a strong enemy is triggered, and the cultivation of the first heaven of the Immortal Venerable is obtained. Closing square bracket. In the mind, the system prompt sounded. Boom 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 boom. Yi Junlin burst out with a majestic cultivation momentum, and the powerful Immortal Venerable aura soared into the sky, annihilating the dark clouds, and letting the bright light fall on the ground, which was very spectacular. It is no exaggeration to say that when Yi Junlin revealed the aura of the Immortal Lord, the entire central region was shaken, and countless cultivators were submissive and fell to the ground uncontrollably, their eyes full of surprise and suspicion. Before Yi Junlin could be happy for too long, a rapid system prompt sound suddenly came from his mind. Ding, an emergency is detected. An emergency is detected. An unknown force is restricting the host's cultivation. Closing square bracket. In an instant, Yi Junlin felt suppressed, and his whole body was extremely uncomfortable. He said with a depressed expression. Tongzi, can you do it? Ding, please don't question my professional level. Since it wants to fight, this system will accompany you to the end. Closing square bracket. While speaking, the system began to get angry and took practical actions to defend its dignity. Chapter 404. C406 Hazy is talking. In theory, facing the forced suppression of the laws of heaven and earth, any immortal creature cannot resist, because this involves the operation of the heavenly way of Kunlun realm, which is a level beyond the immortal emperor. But Yi Junlin is bound to a system that becomes stronger when facing strong opponents. It can be said that he is indifferent to life and death and will fight if he doesn't obey. When the host was suppressed, the system took action without hesitation, determined to prove its business ability. In an instant, there were lightning and thunder in the sky, and billions of light patterns emerged, as if some fierce struggle was taking place in the sky. Before Yi Junlin could react, the system prompt sounded again in his mind. Ding, report to the host, it's done. Closing square bracket. At the same time, Yi Junlin felt much more relaxed, and the feeling of being suppressed just now instantly dissipated. Yi Junlin said with satisfaction, Tongzi, you did a great job. This system can handle it, and it really dares to take action when there is something going on. Ding, thank you for the host's praise, this system will continue to escort you. Close black lens bracket. Even if the laws of heaven and earth limit cultivation to the realm of a mortal emperor, Yi Junlin has the characteristic of becoming stronger when facing a stronger opponent, which enables him to break through this barrier and ignore this influence. In other words, he is currently the only immortal lord in the entire Kunlun realm. Then, the energy shockwave ejected from Long Aotian's mouth was easily blocked by Yi Junlin with one hand, and was fiercely grasped. What? Seeing this scene, Long Aotian was stunned and stood in the air like a log. Go Buli's dog eyes were wide open, and his mouth opened involuntarily. Click, the big bone stick fell to the ground. Looking at the young man with the aura of a mortal lord all over his body, Go Buli's head was buzzing, and his face was full of disbelief. Now that the laws of heaven and earth are limited to the realm of a mortal emperor, how could an immortal lord appear out of nowhere? Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, exploding like a bolt from the blue. He is indeed a genuine favored person of heaven, Go Buli sighed. Even heaven loves him and treats him as his own son. It is normal for him to have extra special treatment, right? Thinking of this, Go Buli's eyes turned red. It would be a lie to say that he was not envious. The most bizarre thing is that he seems to have never seen the young man practice at all, and he doesn't even meditate on weekdays. As a result, he secretly broke through to the level of immortal venerable. How did he do this? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Wait, what is this? At this time, Yi Junlin felt something in his heart, and countless virtual and real flocks appeared on his hands. They were madly circling around him, visible to the naked eye, and the energy fluctuations were very strong, as if they contained unimaginable power. The rumor is true. If you are promoted to Immortal Venerable under the condition of 10 turns of the Immortal Wheel, you will have 5 million Immortal Venerable laws at the beginning. Go Buli's eyes were wide open. Unlike the Immortal Emperor realm, which has the Immortal Wheel, if one breaks through to the Immortal Venerable realm, the power of the laws belonging to the Immortal Venerable will be extended. The specific effect is exactly the same as the Immortal Wheel, which can increase one's overall combat power. There are a total of 30 million Immortal Venerable laws, and how many can be cultivated depends entirely on one's own understanding and talent. Moreover, the number of laws cultivated when one is an Immortal Venerable will also be related to the level of promotion to the Immortal Emperor in the future. Generally, the newly promoted Immortal Venerables basically have 100,000 Immortal Venerable laws. If the number of laws has not exceeded 10 million when reaching the 9th level of the Immortal Venerable, then this is basically hopeless for the Immortal Emperor. Because to break through the Immortal Emperor, the number of laws must be at least 10 million. This is also the reason why most Immortal Venerables stay in this realm for life. As for why it was said before that the 10-turn Immortal Wheel has the appearance of an Immortal Emperor, it is because after reaching the Immortal Venerable, the first 5 million laws mastered will have more advantages in promotion than many Immortal Venerables. From the starting line, it is already a long way ahead of others. Direct future is promising. Oh, it turns out to be a new way to play. Yi Junlin secretly asked the system, and then he found out what appeared in his hand. Looking at the dumbfounded figure in front of him, Yi Junlin asked seriously. Xiaolong, do you want to continue fighting? At this moment, Long Aotian was in a mess in the wind. He never expected that Yi Mengju had already broken through to the realm of Immortal Venerable. His strongest attack was easily caught by the opponent with his bare hands. What's the point of fighting? The question is, does the Kunlun realm allow the birth of Immortal Venerable now? Why do I always feel that there is an invisible barrier that is preventing me from going further during this period? A man who is worthy of being called the Emperor of Heaven can break through to the Immortal Venerable first under this premise. I, Long Aotian, admire you. As his thoughts fluctuated, Long Aotian looked at Yi Junlin with more and more awe, and there was no longer any fighting intention. After all, it would be humiliating to continue fighting. Alliance Master Yi, I lost this round. Long Aotian said in a deep voice with a fist clasped. Not bad, there is progress, keep up the good work. Yi Junlin was very friendly to this guy who was giving him experience. Hearing the young man's praise, Long Aotian's mouth twitched a few times. Is this also called progress? Last time, at least I could fight back and forth, but this time I had no power to fight back at all. However, now, the killer moves used in his heyday were easily blocked by bare hands, and the gap was clear at a glance. Depressed, Long Aotian smiled bitterly and said, "Alliance Master Yi, Long will take his leave first, and see you later." Then, he turned around and left without looking back. "You left in such a hurry. I wanted to keep you for dinner." Yi Junlin shook his head. Back to the courtyard, Yi Junlin came straight to Go Buli, looking at the other party who dared not look directly at him, and said word by word. "Heitzi, speak, Go Buli. What, you take the dog's words seriously?" Okay, I'll just say I was wrong." Soon, after Long Aotian left, the news spread like wildfire, causing a huge disturbance in the central region. What? Alliance leader Yi suppressed Long Aotian with one hand. This is not the most important thing. I heard that Alliance leader Yi was already an immortal venerable. That's not right. The current laws of heaven and earth are limited to the appearance of immortal emperors. How could an immortal venerable be born? Yes, how did this happen? There were discussions everywhere, and everyone was discussing Yi Junlin's promotion to immortal venerable. As for Long Aotian's defeat again, everyone thought it was normal and nothing new. After all, you couldn't beat Master Yi when he was in the immortal emperor realm, let alone now that he is in the immortal venerable realm, and the chances of winning are even slimmer. Half a month later, a man with his hair tied behind his head, wearing a dark green robe, and with the temperament of a wanderer, appeared in Taishuanzhou in a dusty state. His eyes were full of anxiety, as if he was eager to find something. "Hey, I hope to find out the news about junior brother Yi in Xuantian Holy Land." After all, before leaving Xuantian sect, the sect master said that junior brother Yi should visit Xuantian Holy Land when he is free. Maybe he may have stayed there during this period of time. This person is one of the 8 peak masters of Xuantian sect, the peak master of Kangjian Peak. Chapter 405, C407. So embarrassing. The main reason why he came was because something happened in the Eastern Territory, and he couldn't stand the pressure, so he thought of coming to the Central Territory for help. By the way, when I came here, I always heard the monks here talking about Alliance leader Yi and how powerful he is. Sure enough, this Central Territory is filled with outstanding people and powerful people. It's hard to imagine how powerful that leader Yi is, how he can make even the monks in the Central region worship him. The master of Hidden Sword Peak thought about the various deeds of the leader of the Immortal Alliance during this period, and he sincerely admired them in his heart. Suddenly, he thought of something and sighed. Even though junior brother Yi performed extraordinary in the Eastern Territory, he really needs to restrain himself in the Central Territory. You must know that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the sky. The leader of Hidden Sword Peak did not doubt the identity of Alliance leader Yi. After all, the territory of the central region was vast and there were so many people with the same name and surname. He would not think of junior brother Yi whom he knew when he saw the same surname. Afterwards, the master of Hidden Sword Peak went to the mountain gate of Xuantian Holy Land with an anxious mood. "Who is here?" The disciple on guard in front of the mountain gate glared and yelled. The master of Hidden Sword Peak did not dare to neglect, and quickly took out the sect token and handed it over, saying in a respectful tone, "I am from the Xuantian sect of the Eastern region. This time I am here to ask for an audience with the holy master of your noble sect." Xuantian sect. The disciple took the token and frowned. "That's right, our Xuantian sect and your Xuantian Holy Land are of the same origin. I have something to do recently that I would like to facilitate. Please tell me, fellow Taoist." The master of Hidden Sword Peak was smiling, but he was not very confident. These days, he is most afraid of core relatives visiting his home, so he is a little afraid that Xuantian Holy House will turn him away. By the way, I remember that our Supreme Holy Master also seems to have come from Xuantian sect. Another disciple guarding the mountain gate remembered something and quickly reminded him. Hiss. The disciple suddenly gasped and looked at the master of the Hidden Sword Peak. His eyes became extremely respectful. He quickly lowered his body and stretched out his hand, saying with a very enthusiastic attitude, "Senior, please come this way." The master of Hidden Sword Peak was stunned and felt very surprised. Wait, what is the Supreme Holy Lord? Could it be that this Supreme Holy Master is talking about junior brother Yi? The master of Hidden Sword Peak asked in confusion along the way. He was thinking that since this title contained the word Holy Lord, could it be related to the Holy Lord of Xuantian Holy Land? Little friend, I would like to ask, which one has a higher status, this Supreme Holy Lord or your Holy Lord? The master of Hidden Sword Peak asked cautiously. The disciple said solemnly, "Of course the Supreme Holy Lord has a higher status." Hear the words. The eyelids of the Hidden Sword Peak master trembled wildly. Let me go, junior brother Yi is doing so well here. It doesn't matter if you are the supreme elder in Xuantian sect, but you can still ride on the Holy Lord's head when you go to Xuantian Holy Land. Awesome, as expected of you. Thinking of this background, the master of Hidden Sword Peak immediately straightened up his back, raised his chest and raised his head, and walked with great energy. The Supreme Holy Lord is usually inside. Senior, just go in and find him. Arriving near an elegant courtyard, the disciple bowed his hands respectfully and resigned, not daring to stay long. The master of Hidden Sword Peak couldn't hold back his excitement and strode into the courtyard. Suddenly, he saw a dog-like old Taoist priest sitting there in front of the courtyard door, holding a half-meter-long big bone rod and licking it crazily, as if he was immersed in it and relishing it. Ouch! Junior brother Yi even raises a dog. The master of Hidden Sword Peak looked at the old Taoist priest's appearance. His tone was a bit disgusting. It's a pity, this dog is old, ugly, and greedy. Keeping this thing will cost you your wealth. As soon as these words came out, Gubuli, who was immersed in licking bones, stopped suddenly, raised his dog ears, and almost suspected that he heard the wrong person. He squinted his eyes and looked at the master of Hidden Sword Peak, and said in a bad tone, Junior, do you have the guts to say it again? Joke. I was Empress Fuyao's watchdog at all back then. Even the Empress didn't dislike me for being old and ugly. Who are you to pick me up? Feeling the aura of the immortal emperor exuded by the old man in front of him, the master of Hidden Sword Peak was so frightened that cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he trembled. Dog, Mr. Dog, is a small boy with no eyesight. You must not take it to heart. He really didn't expect that junior brother Yi's residence even had a watchdog. It was like the realm of the immortal emperor. Although he was promoted to the immortal lord realm a while ago, compared with the immortal emperor, he is nothing. HMPH, I'm surprised when I see you. Could it be that you're from outside? Tell the truth, otherwise I'll eat you in one bite. As he spoke, Gubuli bared his sharp teeth and showed a fierce expression. Master Dog, please calm down. The younger one is from the Xuantian sect. The Supreme Holy Master of your sect is in the same sect as me. I came here specifically to ask for his help this time. The Master of Hidden Sword Peak said quickly with a sad face. Hearing this, Gubuli froze on the spot, looked at the man in front of him carefully, and asked suspiciously, seriously. It's absolutely true, Mr. Dog. Then you come with me. Gubuli stood up, grabbed him and walked inside. Crash. The sound of playing mahjong is getting clearer and clearer. When he came to the courtyard and saw a familiar figure, the master of Hidden Sword Peak was so excited that he wanted to cry, Junior brother Yi. Yi Junlin subconsciously turned his head and said in surprise, Senior brother Jian, why are you here? Who is this? Zhang Tianming and the others looked surprised. Oh, let me introduce you. This is my senior from the same sect as mine. Yi Junlin said. Senior Yi is really elegant. He can practice alone in this era, but he deliberately joins this kind of sect to experience life. Kanglang Jun sighed. Everyone nodded. After all, some great people in the past would choose to join a sect to experience the feeling of youth when they were reborn, or marry and have children to establish a family of immortals. For them, everything is starting over again. Since that's the case, try some new tricks to add fun. Junior brother Yi, you are doing too well now. Tell me quickly, how did you fool Xuantian Saint Lord? I heard that your current status is the highest here. The head of Kangjian Peak said excitedly, and the title of Supreme Saint Lord is too far-fetched. It feels like a name given by a fool, ha ha ha. Xiao Zhang, go and explain this problem to him, Yi Junlin said with a strange look on his face, pointing his finger at Zhang Tianming. Zhang Tianming took a step forward and said with a dark face. My fellow Taoist, I am the Holy Lord Xuantian. Senior Yi did not fool me. I did it willingly. Also, I gave this title, but I am not a fool. The whole audience was silent. The head of Kangjian Peak was stunned and then shrank his neck. So embarrassing. Window. Underscore tabula equals window. Underscore tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target underscore type. Mix. Chapter 406. C408 Changes in the East Region. The most embarrassing thing in the world is that when you are secretly saying bad things about someone, that person suddenly jumps out in front of you. Looking at the Xuantian Saint Lord who was glaring at him, the leader of the Kangjian Peak touched his nose and said with a wry smile. Well, I usually like to make some jokes. You won't mind, right? Zhang Tianming sneered, you think too much. I mind it. He was attacked for no reason and called a fool in front of him. If it weren't for Senior Yi's face, he would have hung this guy up and beat him. Idiot, you look like an idiot. Sorry, I was rude first. Please forgive my mistake. The leader of the Kangjian Peak knew that he was in the wrong and quickly bowed his head to admit his mistake. Humph, Zhang Tianming snorted coldly. Okay, tell me what you are here for. Yi Junlin waved his hand and asked seriously. He could see that the master of Hidden Sword Peak had come all the way from the East region, and there must be something urgent. Back to the topic. The master of Hidden Sword Peak quickly told the East region about the changes that happened, like pouring beans from a bamboo tube. It turned out that since Yi Junlin and his friends left, the East region had been relatively peaceful for a long time. But the good times did not last long. A group of ancient cultivators suddenly emerged and set up their own mountains in various parts of the East region, snatching the immortal fate of the world, and starting the open and secret struggles at the level of the immortal king. Fortunately, they basically abided by the rules and did not cause trouble everywhere, so many local cultivators did not have much resistance. On the contrary, they rushed to hug their thighs. As the first immortal sect in the East region, Xuantian sect's status during this period was not as good as before, but if it remained neutral, it could still barely get by. As a result, just half a year ago, the 100,000 immortal mountains underwent an astonishing upheaval. Creatures claiming to be the 4 ancient alien races came out. They first suppressed many ancient cultivators, creating a strong deterrent, and also required all forces to pay tribute to a batch of things called Tianyuan crystals every month. According to the level of each force, the amount of tribute is different. If there is any violation, there will be a catastrophe. After learning the requirements, all forces in the eastern region were stunned, and they didn't know what Tianyuan crystals looked like. Later, the 4 alien races found samples and announced the mining locations to the public, so that everyone could only mine and not ask about the rest. For this reason, countless cultivators were forced to join the ranks of the mining army. If the amount submitted is not enough, the alien race will not only punish the local forces, but also create indiscriminate massacres, causing blood to flow for thousands of miles in each dojo, and the lives of the people will be charred. In this high-pressure and cruel environment, the bottom and top levels of the Eastern region cultivation world have to bite the bullet to complete the indicators given by the alien races. It was thought that the monks in the East region were united and it would be easy to mine the Tianyuan crystal. Who would have thought that it would be so difficult to mine? It was simply hell mode. First of all, the Tianyuan mine would form a special magnetic field, which severely suppressed the realm of the monks and would also cause invisible damage to the body, which also made mining very difficult and slow. Even the immortals would be tired like a dog after entering, let alone the monks who had not yet become immortals. This also led to complaints from the 14 states, and the entire East region was shrouded in the haze of oppression. Even so, the 4 major alien races turned a blind eye and continued to drive the monks in the East region to work hard for them. The casualties increased day by day, causing panic in all places. In order to prevent the monks from secretly escaping, the 4 major alien races also arranged their own strong men to strictly guard the entrances and exits, and they were determined to keep the creatures in the East region in a circle to form a huge breeding farm. Hearing this, Yi Junlin was stunned. As for the specific origin of the 100,000 immortal mountains, he had previously learned from the Blue Lotus Sword Immortal that there were all kinds of terrible alien races hidden in it, with strange special powers which were terrifying in ancient times. Unexpectedly, this group of alien races actually made such a big move, directly driving all the Eastern region cultivators as cattle and horses. Moreover, they also required all places to regularly supply Tianyuan crystals. The question is, what is this Tianyuan crystal? He had never heard of it in the Eastern region before. Tongzi, what is Tianyuan crystal? What is its use? When he encountered something he didn't understand, Yi Junlin immediately thought of the system and asked secretly. Ding, Tianyuan crystal is a very special crystal, a product naturally nurtured under the operation of the heavenly Tao. The energy contained in it is extremely mottled and chaotic, and it is not suitable for any cultivator to absorb and transform. Close black lens bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, and wondered in his heart, if that's the case, why are the 4 alien races still bothering? To put it bluntly, this thing is the excrement of the heavenly Tao, which is not good for anyone's cultivation. And the alien race that ran out of the 100,000 immortal mountains, it turns out that they have special hobbies, right? By the way, you just said that the 4 alien races strictly guarded the entrances and exits, so how did you successfully break through? Yi Junlin suddenly reacted and looked up and down at the swordsman-like man with a surprised look. The leader of the Hidden Sword Peak sighed. To be precise, I didn't break through alone, but a donkey led me through. Donkey. Yi Junlin vaguely guessed something, and said uncertainly, could it be that it ran out of my courtyard? Yes, just when we were at a loss, the donkey ran out of your residence and threatened to bring people to the central region to ask you for help. Then, I was lucky enough to be selected. The donkey rode me all the way to seclusion, quietly breaking through the blockade, and then successfully arrived at the central territory. Recalling that action, the master of Hidden Sword Peak said with a complex expression. Etc. Yi Junlin captured a certain key point with a very strange expression. You mean, that donkey came riding on you? Right, the master of Hidden Sword Peak said with a sad face, it has a magical hiding spell, which can take me away from the perception of foreigners. I just carried it on my back and ran to the central region. At first, he thought he could ride on the donkey and rush out of the encirclement with great force. However, unexpectedly, the donkey rode him out. Recalling the donkey braying sound and mean look on his face when he was in the courtyard, Yi Junlin suddenly felt that this strange behavior was reasonable. The question is, where is that donkey? Why didn't he come with you? Yi Junlin looked at the empty figure behind him and asked doubtfully. Hey, I'm ashamed to say it. I kept carrying it around, and I was so tired that I could hardly walk. It found it boring, so it ran away without a trace. It must have wandered somewhere. The master of Hidden Sword Peak said helplessly. He couldn't even defeat a donkey. He could only be ridden along the way and had to endure all kinds of disgust and complaints. The master of Hidden Sword Peak even suspected that the donkey was deliberately trying to be lazy and found someone to ride on it. It's really rare. The creatures of the 4 ancient alien races actually took the initiative to leave the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. Back then, they stayed in the Immortal Mountains and never took a step out. Lord Kanglang clicked his tongue. Although the 4 major alien races each have strange abilities, fortunately they did not expand externally. Instead, they chose to live in the Shiwanxian mountain, keeping in harmony with the outside world. Unexpectedly, in this new era, he would take the initiative to run out and change his past style of doing evil. HMPH, what do you know? Those alien races were originally driven by the person behind the scenes, and they were sacrificed to the spirits. Gubuli transformed into the King of Understanding, with a pair of clear dog eyes shining brightly, speaking from the passage. I can guarantee that the reason why those foreign tribes mined the Tianyuan crystal was driven by the 4 great sacrificial spirits behind them. And the true identities of the 4 major sacrificial spirits are said to be related to the way of heaven. Hear the words. Everyone was shocked. Lord Kanglang looked shocked and said, Senior Go, are you sure? You can't talk nonsense. After all, Tiandao is the lord of Kunlun realm. How come the 4 major sacrificial spirits worshipped by the alien races are still related to Tiandao? Have you forgotten my identity? I was Empress Fuyao's watchdog back then, and I know a lot of inside stories. Gubuli glanced sideways, and then said in a mysterious tone. I heard that the 4 major sacrificial spirits are chaotic evil spirits. They are the way of heaven in ancient times. They cut off their own evil thoughts and condensed them. They started at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. When they first appeared, they originally wanted to join forces to bring trouble to the Kunlun world. But they were defeated by the 4 ultimates who had not become saints at that time, and then they retreated to the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. Later Empress Fuyao and the others became saints, and the 4 chaotic evil spirits completely settled down and no longer took a step outside. And the special abilities mastered by the 4 major alien races were actually given by the 4 major chaotic evil spirits respectively, and then they gradually became their minions. Hear this. Everyone felt incredible that there was such a secret behind this. Senior Go, you really know a lot. Lord Kanglang said with admiration. Hey, Gubuli waved his hand, seemingly humble but actually said, it's just so. After all, I know a lot of things during my years as a watchdog. Lu Qingming patted his head and said wittily, Senior, why don't you just publish a book called, My Years as a Watchdog? It will definitely become popular in the Kunlun world. Gubuli rubbed his chin and said, your idea is very good. I'll go back and think about it. Ahem, Yi Junlin said angrily, don't take the topic too far. Junior brother Yi, the names of these 4 chaotic evil spirits sound very powerful. What should we do next? Hearing that the sacrifices offered by foreign tribes had such a big background, the master of Hidden Sword Peak suddenly lost confidence and said dejectedly. It's very simple, I'll kill them, Yi Junlin said seriously. You, the master of Hidden Sword Peak was startled. What, you don't believe me? Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. No, 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 that's not what I meant. I'm afraid something will go wrong. It's best to ask for more powerful foreign aid to help increase the chance of winning. The master of Hidden Sword Peak waved his hands quickly, and suddenly thought of something. He leaned in front of Yi Junlin, lowered his voice, and said mysteriously. Junior brother Yi, you have such a high status now, can you please invite the leader of the Immortal Alliance to help us? In his opinion, the Immortal Alliance is the #1 force in the central region, and Alliance leader Yi is even boasted to be a god. With the help of this person, there is definitely a chance of winning. Yi Junlin. Then, he looked at the master of Hidden Sword Peak with a look that looked like a fool, and was speechless for a long time. No, what's that look in your eyes? The master of Hidden Sword Peak was a little depressed. Zhang Tianming patted his shoulder and said sympathetically. Shabi, let me solemnly introduce to you that this is the current leader of the Immortal Alliance, also known as Leader Yi in the outside world. Taking this opportunity, Zhang Tianming avenged his previous revenge, feeling secretly happy. What? The master of Hidden Sword Peak was shocked. It's fine if you're so good in the East region, but you can still show off in the Central region. We are all human, why are you so amazing? Thinking of the tragic experience in recent times, the eyes of the leader of Kangjian Peak became moist, and 2 lines of tears flowed. Suddenly, he knelt on the ground and hugged the young man's thighs, crying out with almost uncontrollable emotions. Junior brother Yi, tell me, why are you so successful everywhere? I really envy you. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 407. C409. It's okay. I have a big heart and I'm full. Yi Junlin's mouth twitched a few times for the man's sudden and huge reaction, and he felt speechless. Get up, it's time to do business. Okay. The leader of Kangjian Peak realized his loss of composure, and hurriedly stood up in the strange eyes of everyone, and quickly returned to his previous appearance. Chaos evil spirits, I don't know if they can withstand a fight. Yi Junlin sneered. Although it is unclear why they want to drive the cultivators to mine Tianyuan crystal, they must be punished by justice for messing around in his territory. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering a new task, killing the 4 major chaos evil spirits, and the number of reward laws has increased to 20 million. Close black lens bracket. In his mind, the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin thoughtfully. If he received the system reward, he would have 20 million immortal rules at once. Not bad, not bad. You know, the highest number of immortal rules in the realm of immortals is 30 million. The number of rules not only determines one's own combat power, but also affects the level of promotion to the Immortal Emperor in the future. To be precise, it is the grade of the crown of the Immortal Way. From high to low, it is Great Heavenly Stage, Middle Heavenly Stage, and Small Heavenly Stage. If you are promoted to the Immortal Emperor with 10 million immortal rules, you can start with the crown of the Immortal Way of the Small Heavenly Stage. 20 million is the crown of the Immortal Way of the Middle Heavenly Stage. 30 million is the crown of the Immortal Way of the Great Heavenly Stage. In this way, after receiving the system reward, Yi Junlin has already qualified for the crown of the Immortal Way of the Middle Heavenly Stage. Pass on my order to mobilize 50,000 revivers to attack the 4 major alien races in the East region. Yi Junlin took out the leader token and injected immortal power to activate it. Although the Immortal Alliance is the full name, it is now referred to as the Immortal Alliance. 50,000 revivers means 50,000 Immortal King-level strongmen, which is an extremely powerful force in the Kunlun realm. Only a large body like the Middle region can gather so many Immortal King-level creatures. As for the active revivers in the East region, there are only a few thousand at most. Compared with the Central region, it is just a small witch meeting a big witch. At this time, as the leader of the alliance, Yi Junlin gave an order, and the entire Central region fell into a huge sensation. Swish, swish, swish. Dense and bright immortal lights rose into the sky, and began to form teams in an orderly manner. The majestic pressure swept across the place, and countless people were frightened and didn't know what happened. Soon, the deputy leader Qinglian Zhanxian personally took the lead and led the team to come in a mighty manner. The old face bowed solemnly and said, "Meetings, Leader Yi." He was very surprised that Yi Junlin wanted to attack the 100,000 Immortal Mountains, because the 100,000 Immortal Mountains were forbidden areas in ancient times. The 4 alien races inside each have strange powers that are hard to guard against. Even he, who was full of vigor and vitality in his heyday, almost fell in it. Even though he has now broken through to the 9th level of the Immortal Emperor, he can perform a supreme level of Qinglian swordsmanship, which is extremely lethal. But facing the group of alien races that master strange powers, Qinglian Sword Immortal can't help but feel scared. And he also heard that the 4 great sacrificial spirits in the Immortal Mountain are even more terrifying. Leader Yi, since the 4 alien races are in the East region, why do we have to make such a big fuss? Someone asked with a stiff upper lip. Obviously, many members of the Immortal Alliance are puzzled about the need to attack the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. Because they don't want to face the group of monsters that master strange powers. Everyone, as the saying goes, lips and teeth are cold. When the East region can no longer satisfy their appetite, they will naturally turn their attention to the Central region. For this matter, the Immortal Alliance must take decisive measures to solve it. So, we must liberate the East region, Yi Junlin said with a blazing gaze. There is strength in numbers. He not only has to eliminate the alien race, but also let the Immortal Alliance take over the East region to maintain order. The most important thing is that he has to deal with the 4 chaotic evil spirits, and he may not be able to suppress the group of minions. What the leader said makes sense. The monsters did not leave the Immortal Mountain before because of the different times. Now they feel that there is no threat from the outside world, so they dare to leave the mountain and make trouble. Qinglian Sword Immortal said in a deep voice. The original intention of the establishment of the Immortal Alliance is to make the future of Kunlun realm better and integrate all forces to fight against foreign enemies. Now the Taoist friends in the East region are living in dire straits. How can we ignore it? That's right, well said. Everyone was excited and responded one after another. What's more, there is also the leader Yi in this battle, which makes their confidence suddenly doubled. Junior brother Yi is really awesome. Seeing this scene, the leader of Kangjian Peak was full of envy. At the same time, he was also shocked by the power of the Immortal Alliance. Sending out tens of thousands of Immortal King Realm experts at once is something that the East region simply cannot imagine. Then, the Immortal Alliance team, led by Yi Junlin, set out for the distant East region. This battle almost gathered all the revivers in the Central region, and it can be said that they were out in full force, determined to crush the 4 alien races. Rumble. The sky was thundering and lightning, and the wind was raging. At this moment, billions of creatures in the Central region were witnessing the epic scene of the Immortal Alliance army going out. Oh my god, is the Immortal Alliance going to war? It seems that they are going to attack the 4 alien races and liberate the neighboring East region. I heard that it will be very dangerous. Alas, I only regret that our cultivation is shallow and we are not able to contribute. The monks talked a lot and felt very sorry. They also want to join the conquest army, but the threshold is too high. At this stage, those who can reach the realm of Immortal King are basically resuscitators. A certain state, a grey donkey with shiny hair stopped and stood, looking at the team passing by in the sky, secretly happy in his heart. My son, let's all go. In this way, labor and management can do whatever they want here. That's right, it's the little donkey that ran out of the courtyard of Immortal Island. Due to the 4 major alien races causing trouble in the Eastern Territory, the situation was precarious. It was ordered by Miss Lu to go to the Central Territory to find the Lord of Yi Island. It's just that the little donkey had been suffocating in the yard for too long, and once he ran outside, he didn't want to go back and stay there any longer, so he left the Hidden Sword Peak Master behind and wandered around the Central Territory looking for fun. Master Donkey, I used to be an Immortal Lord. Although I only had Immortal King level cultivation after I came out, I can still use it here. If any blind person dares to mess with me, I will trample him to death with one hoof. As he spoke, the little donkey held his head high, his eyes stern, and his whole body was filled with an extremely surging evil spirit. There is a sense that if there are no tigers in the mountains, monkeys dare to claim the title of king. Aha! A huge dragon-shaped stream of light suddenly cut through the sky, and landed in front of the little donkey with a bang, raising bursts of dust. Hey, Long, I think your strength is quite good, why don't you have a spar? Long Aocean, who had transformed into a human form, put his hands on his back and stepped out like a king, with a sense of oppression in his tone. Long Aocean originally wanted to go to the eastern region to join in the fun, but he sensed the aura of a great demon that he had never seen before, and he immediately became very interested. Junior, what's your attitude? I'm not someone to be trifled with, Mr. Donkey. The little donkey was instantly enraged, and its body grew crazily like a million-foot mountain. Its blood-red eyes were like a full moon, and the demonic energy in its body was boiling violently, burning the sky and boiling the sea. Behind it, the black immortal wheel rotates 9 times, which means it has reached the ultimate state of the immortal wheel. Little Donkey felt that he needed to let this junior know who was the real boss here. Looking at this figure that covered the sky and the sun, Long Aocean's mouth curved like a blade. I hope you can sustain a few more moves in my hands. Then, in the little donkey astonished eyes, the immortal wheel behind Long Aocean turned 10 times. In the area between the Central Territory and the Eastern Territory, there is a group of humanoid creatures that look like butterflies, with uneven body shapes, flapping their wings lightly and flying around. This group of female butterfly fairies had expressionless faces and released their spiritual consciousness to explore the surroundings, searching for any fish that had slipped through the net. The leader, the female butterfly immortal, is in the immortal emperor realm. Be careful, they are the butterfly immortal clan, one of the 4 major alien races. Qinglian Sword Immortal quickly called to stop the team behind him and said with a solemn face. Yi Junlin looked confused. Their cultivation level is lower than yours. Are they afraid of being like this? In his opinion, except for one immortal emperor, the group of butterfly immortals were basically in the realm of immortal kings. How could the great sword immortal around him be afraid of these people? Qinglian Sword Immortal smiled bitterly. Those butterfly immortals have a special ability, that is, they can absorb the immortal power of monks like crazy. When I went deep into the immortal mountain, I met them. You can't even imagine how fast they absorb it. I originally had a lot of it, but they sucked it all out. Not even a drop is left. You know, an immortal without immortal power is like a tiger with its teeth pulled out. So, Leader Yi, you understand. Hear this. Only then did Yi Junlin understand why Qinglian Sword Immortal was so afraid. Any immortal, no matter how high his realm is, without the power of immortality, he is an empty shell, with only fists and kicks left. Master, let the disciples take the lead. I want to see how they suck. Li Wuji said seriously. Go ahead. Yi Junlin became interested and wanted to observe how these female butterfly fairies sucked. Subsequently, Li Wuji rushed out at the lead and charged towards the group of butterfly immortals with great momentum. Enemy attack. The butterfly fairies were shocked and angry. Whoa, Li Wuji swung his sword and slashed out, killing nearly half of the butterfly immortals with lightning speed. Screams were heard everywhere. Human race, you are looking for death. The female butterfly immortal headed by the leader was furious, then opened her bright red lips and sucked hard from the air. In an instant, the immortal power in Li Wuji's body flowed into the female butterfly immortal's mouth uncontrollably. In just a few seconds, 70% of the immortal power was lost. A feeling of weakness came from his dantian, making Li Wuji's scalp numb. Good guy, sucking so fast. If you suck it in again, there will really be no drop left. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes slightly. The butterfly immortal clan could actually absorb the immortal power from the air, and turn the absorbed immortal power into moves to execute. Such a strange ability is indeed very tricky. Suddenly, Yi Junlin seemed to have thought of something, and ducked in front of Li Wuji, smiling playfully and twitching his fingers. Here, try sucking me. Feeling the strong aura of this young man, the female butterfly immortal headed by her felt alarm bells ringing in her heart, and she sneered coldly with raised eyebrows. Sisters, suck him for me. Yes. As soon as he finished speaking, the remaining dozens of female butterfly fairies opened their little cherry mouths and sucked on Yi Junlin one after another. Li Wuji was shocked. Master, you won't be able to bear this. $window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 408. C-410 died inexplicably. It's okay, let them suck it. Yi Junlin looked unconcerned and even spread his arms to pretend to enjoy it, with a hint of expectation in his eyes. At this time, a group of butterfly fairies seemed to have inhaled something indigestible, their faces turned red and full of pain, and then their whole bodies expanded and cracked rapidly, and exploded with bang bang bang. Ah, the leading female butterfly immortal was not dead, but her body was riddled with holes. She fell to the ground with her wings drooped. She looked at Yi Junlin with deep fear in her eyes. Why don't you continue sucking? It's okay, I'll take a large amount and keep it full. Yi Junlin approached with a joking look on his face. No, I don't want to suck you, just go away. The female butterfly immortal was so frightened that her face turned pale and she cried. After she swallowed a little just now, her stomach almost burst. How dare you continue to smoke? This man is poisonous. Yi Junlin was not surprised at all by the female butterfly immortal's fearful reaction, and thought it was reasonable. After all, he has the top-level 9th grade immortal power in his body, which even most immortal emperors find it difficult to possess. Even he, currently an immortal king, can only use half of it at best. One can imagine how high the quality of the 9th grade immortal power is. Therefore, after absorbing a little bit of 9th grade immortal power, these groups of butterfly immortals exploded one after another. Because I really can't hold it in. Yi Junlin stepped forward and grabbed the female butterfly immortal's hair, and sneered, "Suck it, why don't you keep sucking it? Wasn't it pretty good just now? Please, let me go, I really can't suck you in." The female butterfly immortal cried so hard that her delicate body shook like chaff due to excessive fear. Seeing this scene, everyone felt unbelievable. Qinglian's sword immortal even opened her mouth wide enough to fit an ostrich egg into her mouth. Haha, fellow Taoist Yi's immortal power has reached the 9th level. How can a mere butterfly immortal clan be able to absorb it? Go Buli was not surprised and teased. "Master, you are still the best." Li Wuji gave a thumbs up, his face full of admiration. "Tell me, why do the sacrifices behind you need Tianyuan crystal? What is the purpose?" Yi Junlin asked. I only heard from the clan leader that if something unexpected happens to the sacrificial spirits in this era, the special abilities of the 4 major alien races will disappear, so the tasks assigned by the sacrificial spirits must be completed. As for the root cause, I don't know. The female butterfly immortal said fearfully. In this case, the existence of Tianyuan crystal must have been related to their life and death. Yi Junlin said thoughtfully. Suddenly, there was an angry shout in the distance. "Let go of my Ashong." A terrifying aura swept over him. It was a man with flapping black butterfly wings, a slender figure, and 2 tentacles on his forehead. At this time, he glared at Yi Junlin, then led a team full of male butterfly immortals and rushed towards him with a murderous look on his face. "Brother Ming, don't come here," the female butterfly immortal exclaimed. "Suck them all," the leading male butterfly immortal ordered. He felt that Yi Junlin's aura was unfathomable, so he wanted to strike first. As long as he could quickly absorb the immortal power from the opponent's body at the first time, they would have a good chance of winning. Unlike female butterfly fairies who inhale through their mouths, male butterfly fairies inhale through their nostrils. In an instant, these hundreds of male butterfly immortals stared angrily, their nostrils expanded, trying to absorb the immortal power in Yi Junlin's body. Bang 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 bang. As a result, explosions occurred one after another. Just like before, all his men were dead, leaving only the leading male butterfly immortal lingering. After he fell to the ground in a panic, he looked at Yi Junlin with horrified eyes and said in a trembling voice. "You." The male butterfly immortal never imagined that such a terrifying monster existed in this world. "Hey, there are males, I thought they were all females." Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. "Senior, the butterfly immortal clan is our collective name. It is actually divided into main veins and branch veins, and the names are different." The female butterfly immortal braced herself and explained. "Oh, what kind of butterfly are you?" Yi Junlin looked interested. Thinking of today's tragic experience, the female butterfly immortal couldn't help but shed tears, and said in pain, Yazudi." Yi Junlin, "No, are you sure that's what it's called? What a name with the characteristics of an island country. What about you?" Yi Junlin pointed at the male butterfly immortal and asked curiously. Seeing his sweetheart so sad, the male butterfly immortal clenched his fists in grief and anger, and shouted loudly. "Wo Nen butterfly." As soon as these words came out, Yi Junlin's eyes burst out with cold light, he raised his hand and slapped him into ashes. Because it happened so fast, no one could react. Only when they came to their senses did they feel chills on their backs. They could see that Leader Yi was really angry. "Senior Go, you are well informed. Do you know why Leader Yi is angry?" Qinglian's sword immortal lowered his voice and whispered to Go Buli. Go Buli was a little depressed. He couldn't figure it out. What happened just now? The male butterfly immortal just answered his clan name, and was slapped to death by Yi Junlin in anger. Could it be that the problem lies in the word, Wo Nendi? How strange. "Brother Ming," the female butterfly immortal cried sadly. Li Wuji, who was standing behind him, was too frightened to speak. It was the first time he saw his master so angry. Yi Junlin exhaled a long breath, feeling much more comfortable in his heart, and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid, I'm usually very easygoing, it was just a misunderstanding." "Senior, what do you want me to do? Just tell me," the female butterfly immortal cried. She felt that this human youth was really terrible, and his mood was so capricious. I want you to lead the way and find your sacrificial spirit. If you perform well, I can keep your Yame butterfly lineage. Yi Junlin said seriously. I don't know why, when he mentioned Yame butterfly, he had the urge to laugh. Zhang's eyes kept changing, and she seemed to have made up her mind and nodded heavily. Okay, I'll take you there. She thought so. If Yi Junlin was very powerful and could defeat the sacrificial spirit, the tribe could survive, but if he couldn't win, she would say that she was threatened. Xiaohei, come and treat her. Yi Junlin called. Yes. The big mushroom king hurriedly stepped up to treat the female butterfly immortal who was covered with bruises. Then, the green lotus sword immortal and his men appeared. When Shang saw this huge team, a look of surprise flashed across her beautiful eyes. HMPH, you can't figure out why there are cultivators from the central region coming to reinforce. It's because I sneaked out and told them the news. Soon, the days of you enslaving the cultivators from the eastern region will be over. The more the leader of the Hidden Sword Peak spoke, the more excited he became. Sorry, we are just following orders. Shang said bitterly. Next, I will take her with me, and you go to deal with the aliens who are suppressing the mines. Yi Junlin ordered. The primary purpose of his trip was to kill the 4 great sacrificial spirits, which was the root of the disaster. Yes, sir. Everyone bowed their hands and said solemnly. Then, they divided their troops into several groups to deal with the alien teams stationed in various mines and rescue more eastern region cultivators. Chapter 409, C411 Back. In a mine somewhere, a group of monks were swinging hoes and mining in sweat. Due to the special magnetic field here, their cultivation was suppressed, and their bodies were gradually eroded by the strange power here. Over time, their blood and chi would decay and their state would fall into depression. And around the mine, from time to time, powerful divine consciousness swept through, making the monks who were explored feel cold all over. Obviously, these were the alien creatures in charge of guarding. In order to ensure the progress of mining, each mine would have strong men from the 4 alien races to supervise and suppress the eastern region monks who tried to resist. Under this absolute power, the turmoil of mine riots was suppressed again and again. The haze of despair shrouded everyone's heart, and the atmosphere was extremely depressing and dull. There was no hope here. There was only the tragic fate of being driven like cattle and horses and finally dying in the mine. Clang, clang. In the mine, the crisp sound of metal knocking echoed, and many working monks were covered in dust and exhausted. Have you heard that recently many forces have been collectively sent to work in the mines because they cannot meet the quotas for surrender? A sturdy man said while swinging a hoe. That's right. A while ago, the ancestor of the Moving Mountain sect, Ouyang Feng, was sent to our mine to participate in mining. He is a powerful man in the Xuanxian realm, but he is exhausted. The companion next to him said. Now, if the target is not met, the entire sect will suffer. No matter who you are, you will be forced to mine. Now only the top leaders of the 3 major sects can barely maintain their image. Yes, but if this trend continues, I think even the 3 major sects will be completely dragged down. You are right, after all, the appetite of those alien races is getting bigger and bigger, they are simply crazy. I don't know what they want to mine this broken crystal stone for. The whole East region has fallen into this quagmire. That's right, it's unjust. The conversation between the two also resonated with the nearby cultivators, who became more and more emotional and resentful. As mentioned earlier, due to the great difficulty of mining and the difficulty in reaching the allocated targets, many forces in the East region suffered and were sent to mine by the alien races. You can even see the head of a certain cultivation family, his wives, children, aunts and uncles, etc., working hard in the mine in the same mine. Or the sect master who is usually high and mighty, and the menial disciples who have just joined the sect, swinging hoes side by side, working and resting together. In the eyes of the 4 alien races, in order to speed up the efficiency of mining, any cultivator can serve as free labor. At present, only the top 3 immortal sects in the East region can barely maintain their image, namely Xuantian sect, Xuanji sword sect, and Dao sect. But in time, they may be dragged into the water and join the mighty mining army. Among them, in the deepest part of the mine, listening to the angry scolding of the crowd behind him, the tall old man who silently swung the hoe to work, sighed helplessly and felt bitter in his heart. Looking back to the past, he was also passionate and proud. He once faced the coercion of a group of foreign masters alone. Even though he was beaten badly at that time, he vowed to defend the dignity of the cultivators in Guangzhou. Now, because the sect failed to meet the target, he was captured by the foreign masters and sent to this place to mine. Under the physical and mental torture day after day, he gradually became taciturn, with vicissitudes and depression on his face. Who would have thought that he, Wu Yangfeng, was a famous master in Guangzhou before, and the ancestor of the second largest sect in Guangzhou, the Moving Mountain sect? Things are unpredictable. Recalling the previous experiences, Wu Yangfeng felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Even though he obtained a lot of immortal fates shortly after the drastic changes in the world, his cultivation made rapid progress, and he cultivated to the realm of Xuanxian, showing signs of breaking through the immortal monarch, but in the eyes of the four major alien races, his level of goods is nothing. Who would have thought that such a terrible creature was hidden in the vast 100,000 immortal mountains? Even the ancient cultivators who claimed to be resurrectors had to go around them when they met them, and they dared not breathe. It was too desperate. It was really too desperate. 99% of the cultivators were either mining or on their way to mine every day. In such a cruel and high-pressure environment, is there any future for the cultivation world in the eastern region? Feeling that his body was gradually getting worse, Wu Yangfeng's heart was numb. In his mind, a familiar young man appeared again. He was the person he admired most in his life. "Senior Yi, please come back soon," Wu Yangfeng murmured in a lost voice. Now, the only one who can save the eastern region is the former Senior Yi who was respected by the world. This is the only hope for the eastern region cultivators to persist. Unfortunately, according to the news revealed by Xuantian sect, the other party had left the eastern region a long time ago and traveled to the central region. But countless people are looking forward to the return of Senior Yi, who can once again show his might as he did before and defeat the four evil alien races. Just as Wu Yangfeng's thoughts drifted away, the angry shout of the alien supervisor came from outside the mine. "Shut up! What are you arguing about? Do you want to die?" Then, the noise died down. Everyone was silent in an instant. Here, the alien supervisor is the sky, and anyone who disobeys the management will be tortured in every way, and life is worse than death. At this time, the alien supervisor sneered and said to his companion next to him, "See, those animals need to be trained." He was very burly, as tall as an iron tower, and looked a bit like an uncivilized ape. His exposed muscles were bulging with blue veins, full of explosive power. This is the strange ape tribe, one of the four alien tribes. Compared to the butterfly immortal tribe's absorption of immortal power, the special ability of the strange ape tribe is to release the forbidden field. All cultivators in the field cannot use any spells. Of course, this also includes themselves. It seems useless, but it is not, because the strange ape tribe are all physical cultivators, with first-class physical defense and brute force. In the forbidden field, their advantages can be maximized, and many cultivators will suffer a lot when fighting them. You are right, only in this way can those animals mine peacefully and provide more Tianyuan crystals for our tribe's sacrifice spirit. The companion grinned. I heard from the tribe that a large amount of Tianyuan crystals have been added during this period, and the condition of the sacrificial spirit is getting better and better. Only if it is safe and sound can our monster ape tribe continue. Yes, praise the great sacrificial spirit. Suddenly, a horrible knife light flashed across in an instant, and the two monster ape tribe warriors were beheaded before they could come to their senses. Li Wuji appeared next to the corpse with a knife in his hand, with a sarcastic smile on his lips. Haha, when my master takes action, the sacrificial spirit you are talking about will soon die. Then, he shouted to the mine, "Fellow Taoists, come out. The Immortal Alliance is here to rescue you." Hearing the shouts, all the cultivators in the mine looked at each other, suspecting that the alien supervisor was deliberately deceiving them. The most important thing is that there is no force called the Immortal Alliance in the East region, so they all think that there must be something strange. Li Wuji shouted for a long time, and the mine was quiet, without even a shadow of a person, which made him very angry. What's going on? Hong Chenny flashed over and frowned. HMPH, a group of scared guys dare not come out. Li Wuji said unhappily. What's going on? Suddenly, a patrolling team of strange apes noticed something was wrong and went straight to the mine to investigate. When they saw the bodies of their tribesmen, they were furious. How dare a cultivator kill a supervisor? This is a capital crime. Kill them, the little leader shouted angrily. The forbidden fields were opened one after another, covering the world. Huh, I can't use magic. Hong Chenny looked at the extinguished flame in his hand, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Haha, just open your eyes and watch. Seeing that Hong Chenny was like a phoenix with its feathers plucked, Li Wuji showed a smug smile, because this was his moment to improvise. As a sword cultivator, what if he couldn't use magic? As long as he had a sword in his hand, he could use the strongest killing move. Chaos Heavenly Sword Art. Li Wuji performed this supreme sword technique. With the blessing of the heavenly sword intent, the power was simply unimaginable. Even the powerful bodies of the monster ape clan could not resist it at this moment. Ah! The screams continued to ring. Soon, the group of monster ape clan warriors were killed, and the forbidden field they were proud of lost its effect in the face of Li Wuji. See, this is the advantage of sword cultivators. It's not something you, who only know how to play with fire, can compare to. Li Wuji turned back and said proudly. Before, his identity as a sword cultivator was always distorted. Now he can take the opportunity to turn the tables. Shouldn't he show off? Hong Chenyi's mouth twitched a few times, and he turned around with a cold snort and ignored it. At this time, if he had a word of rebuttal, it would have boosted the other party's arrogance, so it was best to choose silence. Who knows, the ability of the monster ape clan is so weird that it can make cultivators unable to cast spells. This time he is unlucky to meet it. Hee, I'm speechless. Li Wuji felt so happy in his heart, and he felt proud. As a sword cultivator, I am proud. Hong Chenyi was so angry, but he didn't respond directly. Instead, he shouted at the mine. Everyone inside, get out. Do you want to stay here forever? The voice was like thunder, shaking the mine. Finally, there were figures in the mine. They tentatively leaned out, their eyes were full of doubt. Because they were really afraid of the tricks of the alien supervisors, they acted cautiously. Among them, seeing Hong Chenyi's figure, some cultivators who knew him were struck by lightning and shouted excitedly. Red Immortal, it's the Red Immortal who is here. As soon as these words came out, the cultivators were stunned at first, and then overjoyed. Who is the Red Immortal? She was the dream lover of countless men in the East region. The most important thing is that the other party is the eldest disciple of Senior Yi. One can imagine how high their status is. Hearing this familiar and unbearable name, Hong Chenyi's mouth twitched wildly, and she had the urge to set fire to them. Red Immortal. Among them, Wu Yangfeng pushed through the crowd and ran out like a crazy old man, tears in his eyes, and shouted in a trembling voice, "May I ask if Senior Yi is back?" The whole audience was silent. The hearts of the cultivators were in their throats, and they were all nervously waiting for the answer. Hong Chenyi took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "After hearing about this, the master has returned to the East region. He has gone deep into the 100,000 immortal mountains to solve the root cause of this disaster." Strangely enough, when he said this, everyone didn't react, just standing there like a log. After more than 10 seconds, the crowd gradually showed signs of agitation. All the monks felt their noses sore, and they could no longer suppress their burning emotions. They cried and howled excitedly, as if they were devout believers who heard that the gods had come to rescue them personally. Great! Senior Yi is finally back. We are all saved. The roar of the mountains and the seas was deafening. Senior Yi, Wu Yangfeng was even more in tears. He looked up at the sky, feeling that the cold darkness was about to be dispelled and a new light would be ushered in. Just because. That man is back. Chapter 410. C412 Faith Reunited. Xuanji Sword Sect. People are panicked and gloomy. There was a lot of discussion in the hall, and all the elders looked anxious. Everyone, if we can't meet the target this month, how can we still communicate with the Ghost Eye clan? If you ask me, that group of aliens must have done it on purpose. The targets assigned to us are getting higher and higher every time. This is obviously to push us to a dead end. Hey, but so what? They set the rules, and sooner or later we will be beaten to death by them. It's over, now we all have to be sent to dig. The 4 major alien races in the Xiwanxian mountain are the Butterfly clan, the Strange Ape clan, the Ghost Eye clan, and the Eclipse God clan. And the alien race that suppressed the Xuanji Sword Sect was the Ghost Eye clan. At this time, all the elders were anxious about the unfulfilled targets and felt like a disaster was imminent. Now almost all the forces have been collectively arrested for mining, even the top leaders are not spared. The entire eastern region is like a huge mine. The Xuanji Sword Sect was originally able to barely complete the target, but it could not withstand the deliberate mischief of the strong men of the Ghost Eye clan, so it increased the number of Tianyuan crystals handed over several times in a row. Finally, at the end of this month, the Xuanji Sword Sect was pressed into despair. According to the behavior of the Ghost Eye clan, they will soon come to force them to intimidate them, which makes the senior leaders of many sects uneasy. In a special place like Tianyuan Mine, even the Immortal King has to work hard. Day after day, the edges are smoothed away, and the body and mind are tortured. In the end, he falls on the mining road and is reduced to nothing. Airless body. It was hell there. Unless they had to, they really didn't want to step inside and become the unconditional slaves of the foreign race. Your Majesty, are we going to sit back and wait for death? The leader of the Xuanji sword sect gritted his teeth and raised his hands towards a figure at the highest point in the palace. It was a stern man wearing a spotless snow-white robe, sitting cross-legged, with snowflakes condensed by swords dancing around him, as if he was in the wind and snow. The picture was very beautiful and dreamy. He is the supreme elder of Xuanji sword sect, Shui Wuan. After Yi Junlin left the Eastern Territory, Shui Wuan was lucky enough to have a huge immortal fate. Not only did her level rise crazily, but her sword intention also transformed into the perfect snow and wind sword intent. In conjunction with the self-created ice soul sword technique, it is quite famous in the eastern region. Nowadays, Shui Wuan is no longer the true immortal he was before, but a real top-level immortal king. He can kill even ordinary immortal kings when he encounters them, and his combat power is extremely terrifying. After all, the environment in the eastern region is far inferior to that in the central region. Even under such circumstances, he was able to forcefully break through the true immortal realm before, which shows how terrifying his qualifications are. At this time, Shui Wuan frowned and was about to say something when a sneer came from outside. Very well, you animals are all here. The terrifying aura spread like a tide, and all the elders in the hall felt cold all over and their scalps were numb. The sect master's eyes showed fear, and he said in a trembling voice, "The people from the Ghost Eye clan are coming." Snort. A trace of fear flashed in Shui Wuan's eyes, and his figure flashed outside the hall. He narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the dozens of figures who broke into the sect. Their appearance is no different from that of humans, except for their strange eyes, which are as black as ink and have stripes upon closer inspection, which seem to contain some mysterious power. The leading man wore skull earrings and exuded the aura of a top-level immortal king. He glanced at the audience with a stern look and a teasing smile on his lips. Shui Wuan, you know what I'm going to do, right? Should I let them do it, or should you all cooperate obediently? Choose one of the two. The strong men of the Ghost Eye clan were aggressive as soon as they came up, making all the monks of the Xuanji sword sect dare not speak out in anger. Shui Wuan's face was gloomy. You are a group of aliens who are messing with our great rivers and mountains in the eastern region. If Senior Yi comes back, you will definitely die. The man with the earrings was stunned at first, then let out a sarcastic laugh. I'm just wondering, who is this Senior Yi that you call me, so that you, a bunch of lowly ants, can trust him so much? Don't tell me he is coming back. Even if he is here, he will be captured by us and taken to mine. As soon as these words came out, everyone gritted their teeth, and most of the fear in their hearts dissipated, replaced by deep anger. It's okay to insult them, but not Senior Yi. Because this is the spiritual leader in the mind of every Eastern region monk. Shui Wuan's expression was cold, his palms were firmly on the hilt of the sword, and the aura exuding from his whole body was like eternal ice. He really wanted to slash out with his sword and fight to the death, but this would mean starting a complete war with the Ghost Eye clan. Compared with this powerful alien race, the Xuanji sword sect was as weak as a baby. But if he was caught mining, it would be nothing more than delaying his death. Shui Wuan was not a person who was afraid of death. He was afraid that a single thought would ruin the fate of the entire sect. After all, he still had some hope in his heart, hoping that Senior Yi could return to the eastern region and save all the people from the fire and water. Haha, do you still want to resist? The man with the earrings laughed sinisterly and waved his sleeves fiercely. Aha! A dark purple gust of wind swept in, knocking Shui Wuan so hard that he vomited blood and staggered back. Your Majesty, everyone looked sad and angry. Why don't you dare to fight back? Are you afraid that I will slaughter your entire sect? If that's the case, why were you so stubborn just now? Ridiculous. The man with earrings looked at him with contempt and said sarcastically. Shui Wuan said nothing. The hand holding the sword hilt was trembling, and various emotions were intertwined in his heart, including anger, unwillingness, frustration, hatred, etc. He recalled the past experience of following that silver-haired young man and going deep into the abyss to kill countless aliens. How high-spirited and heroic it was. But now, everything has turned into clouds and disappeared. Suddenly, there was a clear sword sound that resounded through the sky, shocking people's hearts. An old man in green clothes came from the sky with sword light on his feet. His face was clear and elegant, his eyes were like lightning, and he had an indescribable ethereal temperament all over his body. Cut. As soon as the word was spoken, the green sword was cut down instantly, and the green lotus pattern swirled in the void, creating a strong sense of oppression. Ah! Before the earring man and the others could resist, their bodies were shattered by this powerful blue sword, and their souls were destroyed. The sudden change shocked everyone present. Shui Wuan's pupils shrank suddenly. Not to mention how terrifying the power of this sword was, the perfect and perfect sword intent of the heavenly sword shocked his heart. Who is this old man? Why haven't I seen it before? Huh, Ghost Eye Clan, luckily I took action in time. Qinglian Sword Immortal snorted coldly as he recognized the origins of the Earring Man and others. The special ability of the Ghost Eye Clan comes from those eyes. Unfortunately, he killed them with lightning speed before the weirdness was revealed. Shui Wuan did not dare to neglect, and quickly bowed his hands and said gratefully, "Thank you, Senior, for helping me." Qinglian Sword Immortal seemed to sense something and stared closely at the white-robed man. A flash of light flashed in his eyes, and he said meaningfully, "My dear friend, your swordsmanship is very unique." With his eyesight, he could see Shui Wuan's extraordinary qualities at a glance. Shui Wuan's eyes were filled with sadness. "Old Senior, please don't try to hurt me. When I faced that group of aliens just now, I didn't even dare to draw my sword. I'm really ashamed of the dignity of a sword cultivator like me. My little friend, this is wrong." Qinglian Sword Immortal said sincerely. "Facing a strong man, it is admirable to dare to draw your sword, but it is not shameful to hold back for a moment. If I had not appeared, even if you resisted, you would only end up being annihilated." Quote. It had been a long time since he had seen a good young talent like Shui Wuan, so out of cherishing talents, he patiently taught him. Hear the words. Shui Wuan felt much better inside. She breathed a long sigh of relief, bowed her hands and said, "Junior understands." At this time, a large group of figures turned into streams of light of different colors and came. Their auras were very powerful, and they were all in the realm of the Immortal King. Everyone's hearts were in their throats and they watched nervously. Deputy Alliance Leader, the Ghost Eye Clan stationed in multiple mines have been eliminated. A member of the Immortal Alliance said in a deep voice. "Well, I ordered you to go down and continue the sweep along the route. Don't let any foreigners go." Qinglian Sword Immortal said solemnly. Hearing these words, Shui Wuan said tentatively, "Old Senior, may I ask where you are from? Can you tell me something about this junior?" He was curious about the identity of this group of people, as if they came from a well-disciplined organization. Qinglian Sword Immortal smoothed his beard and smiled. "It's okay to tell you that we are from the Immortal Alliance in the Central Region. We are here to rescue the Eastern Region on the order of Alliance Leader Yi." What? Everyone's expressions changed. This group of strong men turned out to be from the central land of Kunlun Realm. Immortal Alliance, Leader Yi. Shui Wuan caught this key word, and some intuition arose in her heart for no reason, and she quickly asked excitedly, "Old Senior, is the name of Yi Junlin the leader of Yi Alliance?" "Huh, have you heard of it too?" Qinglian Sword Immortal raised his eyebrows. After receiving this answer, Shui Wuan was shocked, her breathing became extremely rapid, and she murmured. "It's really him." Looking forward to the stars and the moon, the young man finally arrived. "May I ask where Senior Yi is now?" Shui Wuan forced herself to control her excitement and asked nervously. "It must be in the Immortal Mountain." Qinglian Sword Immortal smiled and said, "Now the time is ripe, it is the time to resist. Why don't you follow us to conquer the alien race and vent your evil anger?" He wanted to take this opportunity to recruit the other party into the Immortal Alliance and cultivate him well. Just what I wanted. Shui Wuan's eyes burst out with a bright light, and he pulled out a sharp sword. His whole body was filled with cold air, and his face was filled with murderous intent. He wants to kill like hell. Chapter 411. C-413. Is there really an invincible person? At the same time, tens of thousands of ancient powerful men from the Central Region launched a fierce attack on the alien team in the name of the Immortal Alliance. The strongholds of the four major alien races in various places have suffered unprecedented heavy blows. Every stronghold was blood-bathed, and fierce fighting was staged in the 14 states of the Eastern Region. Mines that were liberated one after another erupted into earth-shattering cheers. This sudden external force caught the teams of the four major alien races by surprise. In anger, they had no choice but to ask for reinforcements from their respective tribes. You must know that the tribes of the four major alien races are all in the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. That is their real home base, and the strong ones assigned to the outside world are only part of them. After all, no one expected that such a thing would suddenly happen even though the Eastern Territory was clearly under control. This is really unexpected. Fellow Taoists, it's Senior Yi who's back. He has come with his people to rescue us. Yes, I have also heard that Senior Yi is very prosperous in the Central Territory, and he has also founded an organization called the Immortal Alliance, with a large number of strong men working for it. Now that there are rising forces outside, they are all fighting against the aliens, so we can't fall behind. That's right, my best friend died in the mine, and I'm going to fight those aliens who suffered 1,000 blows. I once followed Senior Yi to conquer the abyss, and now that passionate feeling has returned. We monks, why are we afraid of a battle? Kill. Cries of killing filled the world, and all foreigners outside the immortal mountain became targets of shouting and beating. At this time, in a cave somewhere, a group of figures in ancient costumes stood and looked at the fighting scene on the horizon. The identities of this group of people are all resuscitators from the eastern region. The leader is a middle-aged man wearing a dark black robe, his hair tied up with a jade crown, his eyes like square eyes, and his head and horns. His name is Zhu Jushin, the only powerful person from the 8th level of the Immortal Emperor at the scene, and the leader of the Eastern Region Resuscitator Group. Belonging to the Demon Clan, the body is a 9-year-old baby. Jiaying is the top royal family among the Demon Clan, only one step away from the Imperial Clan. Born with 9 snake heads, he has the magical power to spit out water and fire. He is the master of water magic and fire magic. There is no doubt that Zhu Jushin has a profound Taoist practice and belongs to the first echelon of the Immortal Emperor realm. Even so, Zhu Jushin did not dare to confront the 4 major alien races in the 100,000 Immortal Mountains, fearing that he would be arrested for mining. Zhu Jushin is well aware of the terrifying aspects of the 4 major alien races. Each race has weird and special abilities. Therefore, Zhu Jushin took the people who defected to him and hid everywhere to avoid being found by the strong foreigners. It was originally thought that the eastern region would gradually decline or even be destroyed under the control of the 4 alien races. As a result, what he didn't expect was that a group of powerful foreign aid would come in to liberate the eastern region. The most incredible thing is that the group of resuscitators who came to support claimed that they came on behalf of the Immortal Alliance and were under the orders of Leader Yi. Zhu Jushin was shocked by this. The Immortal Alliance, also known as the Immortal Alliance, as a monk from ancient times, is very familiar with this. These days, someone actually founded the Immortal Alliance and commanded the Immortals. The most important thing is that the group of ancient monks from the central region are willing to ride for him. How strong do you have to be to do this? Who is this alliance leader Yi? Have I ever heard of his name in ancient times? Zhu Jushin murmured, Master Zhu, I have found out the news. The leader Yi they are talking about is the Senior Yi who the monks in the eastern region have longed for. Suddenly, a figure flashed into the cave, cupping his fists and saying, Oh my God, this. Everyone looked at each other with horror in their eyes. After they woke up in the eastern region, they learned various rumors about Senior Yi from the monks here. It's so exciting that it's amazing. Although there are suspicions of exaggeration, the strength of the strength cannot be ruled out. Zhu Jushin felt his mouth was dry and he felt scared like never before. Fortunately, he didn't act recklessly when he was in the Eastern Territory. Otherwise, if Senior Yi blamed him, even if he had 9 heads, he wouldn't be able to chop him off. In this case, we don't need to wait and see. Zhu Jushin's eyes became extra determined, and there was no longer any timidity in his heart. He had previously led his people to avoid being hunted by aliens, and he had to swallow his anger to avoid their sharp edges. This was because the 4 major alien races had a profound background and they were no match at all. However, now that Senior Yi, who has a huge background, has intervened, they can give it a go and follow the mainstream to crusade against the aliens. Fellow Taoists, kill! Zhu Jushin could no longer hold back, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body, turning into a black light and heading straight to the battlefield in the sky in the distance. He wanted to vent all the depression and grievance accumulated during this period. Kill! The monks behind him filed out and joined the crusade against the aliens. The shouts of killing shook the heaven and the earth, shocking the whole world. Damn it, you lowly beasts are about to rebel collectively. A strong man from the strange ape tribe who was besieged until he was covered in blood said angrily. Even though he has the realm of forbidden laws, we are outnumbered, and we will eventually be unable to withstand him. Go to hell. Zhu Jushin directly revealed his true body. His body was extremely huge, and the 9 snake heads were full of fear. He opened his bloody mouth and bit hard at the strong man from the strange ape tribe. You wait, my people will receive the news soon. When our army officially leaves the Immortal Mountain, you will all have to pay a painful price. The shrill screams cut through the sky. The strong man of the strange ape tribe was bitten to pieces, blood and flesh flew everywhere, and was finally eaten by 9 snake heads. Roar! The 9 infants burst out with a monstrous ferocity and killed the other few strange apes. After a fierce fight, the battle came to an end. Thank you for your help. Zhang Qingzang, who was dressed in a Confucian robe, bowed his hands respectfully. The unique ability of the strange ape tribe made him and his companions very difficult, but fortunately, this strong man of the 9 infants tribe stepped forward. Zhu Jushan, who had transformed into a human form again, bowed and said in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoist, there is no need to thank me. This is what I, Zhu, should do. To be honest, there are not many revivers in the East region. This time, we can only do our best to fight against the 4 alien races." Hearing the hidden meaning, Zhang Qingzang smiled, "It doesn't matter. As long as we work together, I believe that Alliance Leader Yi will understand it then." When it comes to Alliance Leader Yi, Zhu Jushan is a little uneasy. He wants to find out more useful information, so he tentatively asked. "Excuse me, where is Alliance Leader Yi now?" Zhang Qingzang said solemnly. Alliance Leader Yi has already gone deep into the 10,000 Immortal Mountains alone, wanting to flatten the 4 alien races and solve the source of the disaster. Hearing this, everyone was shocked, and a look of disbelief flashed in their eyes. Zhu Jushan's scalp numbed. Can this really be done? Isn't it too risky? That is the 10,000 Immortal Mountains, which is known as a forbidden area, and the nest of the 4 alien races. The danger is unimaginable. Don't worry, I have witnessed every move he made, and I only have one impression of him, that is. Zhang Qingzang shook his head, looked straight into Zhu Jushan's eyes, and said word by word. "Invincible." Hiss! Zhu Jushan's pupils trembled, he took a deep breath, and his heart was beating wildly. Does this kind of person really exist in this world? Chapter 412. C414. Let's start with you. At the same time, Yi Junlin took the female butterfly immortal and quickly shuttled through the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. Wherever he passed, he saw a Jurassic-like scene, dense jungles and wide rivers, as well as unnamed birds and beasts, full of a vibrant and wild atmosphere. "How far is it from your tribe?" Yi Junlin asked Ashong. Ashong hurriedly said, "Reporting to the senior, we still need to go southeast and cross 35,000 Immortal Mountains. It's a little far." Yi Junlin frowned. This was his first time to go deep into this place, and he had a more intuitive feeling of the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. It is no exaggeration to say that only the smallest immortal mountain here can contain the blue star of the previous life. And there are a full 100,000 immortal mountains here, which shows how large the overall range is. It is all-encompassing and comparable to countless small worlds. "We need to speed up," Yi Junlin said secretly. Boom! A huge wave of air burst out from behind, and Yi Junlin pulled Ah Zhang's arm and moved forward quickly. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, the surrounding scenery was changing wildly, and the picture became extremely blurred, and it was hard to tell the real from the fake. Ah! Ah Shang opened her mouth and exclaimed. She had never experienced this speed before, and it felt like even her soul was about to fly out of her body. Not long after, the butterfly immortal tribe was almost there. Looking around, the entire huge tribe was guarded by warriors, basically male butterfly fairies standing with spears, and female butterfly fairies patrolling in teams. "Senior, can you really abide by the agreement and let our Yamate lineage go?" Ah Shang asked nervously. Yi Junlin showed a kind smile, which made people feel very easygoing. "Don't worry, I keep my word." This is Yamate. What an island-like name. When talking about these 3 words, Yi Junlin always couldn't help but recall the glorious years when he watched various works of the island country. So, he was still willing to preserve this unique race and let this group of Yang butterflies continue to live in this world. That's good. Ashong patted her chest with a long sigh of relief, and suddenly thought of something, and asked tentatively, "Can the Wonen butterfly?" "No," Yi Junlin refused without thinking, and said in a decisive tone, "They must die." Feeling the strong murderous aura, A Shang was frightened and her pretty face turned pale, and she quickly shut her mouth. For some reason, she always felt that this young man had an inexplicable prejudice against Wonen butterfly. What's wrong with Wonen butterfly? Should Wonen butterfly die? I don't understand. In the depths of the tribe, on the tall columnar altar, a skinny and old figure sat quietly. A middle-aged man with butterfly wings and a crown on his head knelt on the ground and said devoutly, "Great sacrifice spirit, we have gathered all the Tianyuan crystals you need this month, please take a look." As he said that, he waved his hand, and countless prismatic crystals the size of fingernails piled up neatly in front of the altar. Please bless our clan with the sacrifice spirit, and we will be evergreen forever. The male clan leader shouted. The male butterfly fairies behind him knelt down and worshipped, their eyes full of fanaticism, shouting. The power of the sacrifice spirit is boundless. The sound shook the sky, and the birds and beasts scattered. The skinny old man slowly opened his eyes. The strange thing was that there was no pupil in his eyes, only a dead gray. The breath it exuded was very ancient and vicissitudes, like a god overlooking all living things, high above, and could not be disobeyed. Looking at the Tianyuan crystals piled up like a hill in front of him, the skinny old man's face changed a little. As one of the four great chaotic evil spirits, the old man Shinmo was eager to use the Tianyuan crystal to restore his decaying physical state. Only in this way could it continue to survive and avoid being eaten by the other three great chaotic evil spirits. That's right, the four great chaotic evil spirits are not a monolithic entity. The reason why they have been able to live in peace for so many years is just to check and balance each other. After all, they were the evil thoughts that were cut off by the heavenly Tao in the past, and they can strengthen themselves by devouring their own kind. The old man Shinmo knew that his strength was the weakest, so he was eager to recover and shock the other three great chaotic evil spirits. Otherwise, only destruction awaits him. As his thoughts fluctuated, the old man Shinmo's eyes flickered, and he actually began to open his mouth to devour the Tianyuan crystal. Buzz buzz buzz. In a moment, the Tianyuan crystal piled up like a hill was swallowed up and turned into nothing. The state of the old man Shinmo gradually rose, as if a terrifying ancient beast was slowly reviving. The terrifying aura enveloped the four directions, frightening the butterfly fairies and making them tremble with fear. Well done, the old man of the heart demon said lightly. The male patriarch was overjoyed and excitedly slammed his head on the ground. It is our supreme honor to serve the great sacrificial spirit. As if remembering the past, the old man of the heart demon said meaningfully. Back then, the four supremes were in charge of the Kunlun realm, forcing us to be forced to hide in this broken mountain. Now the four supremes have long become a thing of the past, and the strongest group of ancient masters are staying in the immortal world again. Apart from those three guys, I have no rivals. As long as I recover and wait for the laws of heaven and earth to relax restrictions, I will be able to reach the peak of the immortal emperor again. By then, all living beings will be nutrients. The four great chaotic evil spirits are the product of the heavenly way, cutting off evil thoughts and condensing. The way they become stronger is very simple, that is, constantly absorbing the dead air of the world. For example, the suffering caused by natural disasters and man-made disasters is a great tonic for them. If they succeed, Kunlun realm will become a real breeding farm in the future. Every time all living things multiply to a certain extent, they can bring down a world-destroying catastrophe and frantically harvest lives to absorb dead air. This cycle repeats over and over again. Over time, the entire cultivation civilization will be tossed around and it will be difficult to make any progress, and all cultivators will never be able to turn over. As the initiator, the chaotic evil spirit can always sit on the fishing platform and enjoy the fun of raising fish and eating them. Suddenly, the old man Shinmo noticed something and said in a cold tone, "What's going on?" A cultivator broke in. Ah, the male patriarch was startled and raised his head suddenly. He heard a noisy voice behind him. "Human, how dare you break into my tribe?" In the distant jungle, densely packed butterfly immortal warriors holding spears surrounded the silver-haired young man in 3 layers, making it impossible to get through. Among them, a male butterfly immortal pointed at Ah Shang, who was leading the way, and shouted angrily, "You, a cheap butterfly, actually betrayed us. What crime should you be punished for? Sister Shang, as a member of the Yame butterfly, are you going to shame your sisters?" Another female butterfly immortal who recognized Ah Zhang's identity was so angry that she trembled all over. Ah Shang was about to explain, but she looked at Yi Junlin timidly and didn't dare to say anything more. If Yi Junlin could defeat the sacrificial spirit, she would be the great hero who saved the Yame butterfly, and if she lost, at least she would have a chance to quibble. But explaining at this juncture would be like narrowing the road, so it is best to remain silent and wait for the development of the situation. At this time, Yi Junlin's attention was all on the old man of the inner demon. He could feel the unfathomable and chaotic strange aura on him. I guess this is one of the chaotic evil spirits. Yi Junlin's eyes flickered, and the corners of his mouth raised an intriguing arc. Next, let's start with you. Chapter 413, C415. The old man with the inner demon. This kid is weird. The old man frowned. After the young man appeared, he felt a sense of uneasiness deep in his heart. This feeling made him feel very unfamiliar. You know, he is a chaotic evil spirit, with means that make countless cultivators fear. In this era, except for the other three of his kind, he should be invincible. Why do I have such an ominous premonition? Stupid, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and take him down for me. The old man said in a deep voice. The male patriarch heard the anger in the tone of the sacrifice spirit, and his heart trembled with fear. He turned around and pointed at Yi Junlin, and roared with almost uncontrollable emotions. Why don't you do it quickly? Instantly, the murderous intent in the air exploded. Many male butterfly fairies took the lead in attacking, staring with angry eyes, and their nostrils expanded in unison, trying to suck the immortal power in this person's body. In this case, even the strongest cultivators will lose their ability because of the loss of immortal power. Seeing this scene, Ah Shang couldn't bear to look directly at it. She had already anticipated what would happen next. Every time she recalled it, she would feel extremely painful. Good idea, but what a pity. Yi Junlin said playfully. Swish swish swish, when the strands of 9th grade immortal power were inhaled into the nostrils by the male butterfly immortals around them, they all felt something was wrong. Their faces turned into liver color, their bodies swelled like balloons, and their skin cracked like ceramics. Ah, a horrifying scene occurred. Male butterfly immortals exploded in the air one after another around them, and turned into a string of blood mist with bangs. Many female butterfly immortals were frightened and screamed one after another. What's going on? The male patriarch was horrified, and his eyes were bigger than copper bells. That expression was like a mortal seeing a fierce ghost, with fear mixed with disbelief. Don't suck it, his immortal power is weird. Ah. A butterfly immortal said with difficulty, and then his whole body exploded, blood and flesh flew everywhere, and his soul was destroyed. Seeing this, the butterfly fairies were frightened and stopped immediately, staring at Yi Junlin in disbelief. The special ability that the butterfly immortal tribe is proud of has actually failed in this silver-haired young man. Who is the other party? Those who block me will die. Under the convergence of countless terrified eyes, Yi Junlin put his hands behind his back, his long white hair fluttering, and his eyes were like lightning. Boom! An extremely powerful momentum burst out, and thousands of butterfly immortal tribe strongmen were forcibly shaken away. Stop him! The male patriarch was shocked and angry, flapping his gorgeous butterfly wings, and his body turned into a stream of light and rushed straight over. In his hand, there was a bronze spear, which was the magic weapon of the tribe, which could pierce everything in the world. Yi Junlin didn't even move his hands, but gently opened his mouth and spurted out a golden sword energy that was about 10 feet long. The golden sword energy flew away like a thread, containing the mysterious and infinite sword intent of the Taoist grade. Puff! The male patriarch, who was a top-level immortal emperor, was directly beheaded by the sword energy. The broken neck spurted out blood like a pillar, and the headless body fell straight to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. The battle ended so quickly that it made the butterfly immortals feel unreal. The whole scene was dead silent. Yi Junlin's eyes were a little strange. It turned out that this male patriarch had only cultivation, but his real combat power was far inferior to the deceased Toad Venerable or even Niu Badian. It was true that the butterfly immortals relied only on the special ability to absorb immortal power. If they abandoned this killer, their real combat level could be said to be extremely poor. The so-called 4 alien races that made countless cultivators shudder at the mention of them were just the abilities bestowed by the sacrificial spirit. If it didn't have that special ability, it would soon be beaten back to its original form and fall from the altar. No wonder the 4 alien races are so eager to collect Tianyuan crystals for the sacrificial spirit to devour and recover, because the essence is a relationship of prosperity and loss. This time, the butterfly fairies dared not move at all. Both men and women looked at Yi Junlin with fear, as if they were looking at a terrifying monster. The old man of the heart demon, who was sitting cross-legged on the altar, had his eyelids twitching slightly. As the other party's figure approached quickly, his inner uneasiness became stronger. Humph, who am I to be afraid of this young man I have never seen before? The old man of the heart demon tried his best to stabilize his emotions, with no sadness or joy on his face, and said indifferently. You dare to trespass here and kill my believers. Do you know that this is the way to death? There was a sense of oppression in his tone. Yi Junlin sneered, haha, I will deal with you first, and then kill the other 3 guys. I guarantee that you will have good company on the road to the underworld, and everything will be neat and tidy. As soon as these words came out, The old man of the heart demon was stunned at first, and then he became furious, bursting out with a majestic momentum and rushing straight into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds in all directions. Asshole! It had never seen such an arrogant human cultivator. Because Yi Junlin revealed that he would not only kill this chaotic evil spirit, but also the other three of his kind. The old man of the heart demon really didn't expect that in this new era, there would be an ignorant human race who would actually attack the four chaotic evil spirits. Although he is no longer at the level of the immortal emperor of the past, with his current powerful strength and strange means, he should be able to sweep across the Kunlun realm and suppress all kinds of strong men. You are an unknown junior, why are you coming here to show off your presence? You are simply looking for death. Boom, the ground around the altar collapsed rapidly, and the vast dead air spread like a tide. The grass and trees along the way were silent, and the river dried up. Run! Ah Shang shouted anxiously. The butterfly immortals at the scene fled in all directions, each with a panic on their faces, fearing that they would be involved in this storm. The old man with a ferocious face stretched out his big hand to grab, and a grey immortal wheel appeared behind him, turning 10 times. It was the 10-turn immortal wheel. As a chaotic evil spirit, he was the ultimate in every realm, and the same was true in the realm of the immortal emperor. Swish! The pitch-black big hand stretched for thousands of miles and slapped over, and the palm was covered with mysterious and complicated patterns, like the hand of the dark god. This blow was very strong. Not only did it easily surpass the ranks of the immortal emperor, it was enough to seriously injure ordinary immortal lords. But in Yi Junlin's view, this level was nothing at all. Boom! Yi Junlin's whole body burst out with an extremely terrifying aura, and his whole body was filled with 5 million immortal rules, which lingered around him like a divine chain of order, just like a god who dominated the world, full of majesty. He gently raised his hand and waved it, and the black hand in the sky collapsed and turned into black snowflakes that drifted between heaven and earth. Blood flowed from the corners of the old man's mouth, his eyes almost popped out, and his old face showed a look of horror, and he lost his voice and said, Immortal, immortal. It was very puzzled and shocked by this scene. To be precise, it was frightened by the immortal cultivation exposed by Yi Junlin. The old man of the heart demon knew very well what period it was now. At present, the highest limit of the laws of heaven and earth is the realm of the immortal emperor. As for the realm above the immortal emperor, it is absolutely impossible to appear. However, Yi Junlin's cultivation directly broke its inherent cognition. This is the immortal. Is the law of heaven and earth that constrains all living beings in Kunlun realm useless? As the thought turned, beads of sweat appeared on the forehead of the old man Shinmo, and he was sweating all over. He felt that Yi Junlin was evil everywhere. This kid is weird. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement, below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 414, C416 Why don't you have an inner demon? The old man of the inner demon was really panicking. As a chaotic evil spirit, it was one of the weird sources of the Kunlun world. As a result, when it woke up, it saw an existence that was even more evil than it. What's the point of playing this? If this is all you can do, then you can die now. I have to rush to the next game. Yi Junlin's tone was slightly disappointed. As he spoke, he pinched his fingers with one hand, and dense golden sword energy gathered on his head, pointing directly at the old man of the inner demon in front of him. The terrifying sword force was so sharp that the entire immortal mountain was cracking inch by inch, as if it could not withstand such power. The old man of the inner demon felt cold all over, and the alarm bell of death rang wildly in his mind. He realized that he could not block this attack at all. He would die. Wait. Why should I be afraid? I am a master of controlling inner demons. In this world, no matter how strong a cultivator is, his inner demons may erupt. Even the immortal who fought against me back then was caught by me because of his carelessness. Thinking of this, the old man with the inner demon quickly calmed down and looked at Yi Junlin with a look of sarcasm. Inner demon technique. Then, under Yi Junlin's astonished eyes, the old man with the inner demon closed his eyes and began to twist his body, using his hands and feet to dance an ancient dance. Invisibly, a strange energy wave spread in all directions, not only covering Yi Junlin himself, but also affecting the butterfly immortals who were watching the battle from a distance. The screams of fear rang out everywhere, filling the entire tribe. Looking around, countless male and female butterfly immortals seemed to be possessed by demons at this moment, their eyes turned blood red, and they kept rolling on the ground, looking like they were in a state of collapse. That's right, they were all collectively triggered by inner demons. For cultivators, the harm of the inner demon is huge. They can lose themselves in a short period of time, and even their Taoism is broken. Only a very small number of strong people with firm will and stick to their original heart will fight against the inner demon until they are completely suppressed. Of course, if they cannot suppress it, they will be devoured by the inner demon and become a muddle-headed, walking corpse puppet. This move is definitely what all cultivators want. Haha, don't say you are an immortal. Even if you are an immortal emperor, you will be deeply trapped in the inner demon. In this way, it will be much easier to deal with you. The old man of the inner demon closed his eyes, put his hands together and raised them above his head. His dancing posture was particularly enchanting, and he said with secret pride, "This is the killer that it is proud of." After all, which cultivator in this world is not afraid of his own inner demon? They all maintain an attitude of avoiding it. Now, the young man has been caught by it, and he will definitely be deeply trapped in the inner demon and unable to extricate himself. Then it will act decisively, and the advantage will be 100% full. The old man sneered and was about to charge to attack the young man. As a result, when he opened his eyes, he was stunned by the scene he saw. He saw that the other party had a strange face, and his eyes were like looking at a mentally retarded person. Yi Junlin was very surprised. He thought that the old man was going to use a big move, but he didn't expect that he would start dancing awkwardly. The dance was very charming and very eye-catching. What does this mean? At this time, the two looked at each other, and the air was filled with embarrassment. The old man's facial muscles were twitching, burning, and he felt very embarrassed. "Don't look at me with such eyes, okay? You don't really think that I danced to please you, right? Wait, why didn't this kid react at all? Where is the inner demon? Why didn't your inner demon appear?" The old man suddenly woke up and looked at Yi Junlin again, with disbelief and fear. Under normal circumstances, any cultivator has the possibility of being triggered by the inner demon, and its ability is to use dancing as a medium to achieve the effect of instantly triggering the inner demon. Even the old man Chang Shengguang, who has been as steady as an old dog all his life, felt extremely painful when the inner demon broke out. And the young man in front of him was not affected at all. Why is this? What the old man didn't know was that he was facing a real freak. Others have to rely on hard practice to break through the realm, constantly struggling in the world of cultivation, defeating strong enemies to save their lives. In this long process, they experience all kinds of ups and downs, and their moods will inevitably fluctuate greatly. It is normal to have regrets. In this case, even if he achieves the position of the immortal emperor in the future, he can't get rid of the birth of the inner demon. He only needs to awaken it through some way to have a huge impact on himself. But Yi Junlin is different. His personality is to do whatever he wants, like to have fun, and with a system that becomes stronger when he meets a strong opponent, he relies on touching porcelain to break through the realm, and relies on system sign-in and rewards to become stronger. He has never experienced what hard practice is. Moreover, he has crushed all enemies he has encountered so far, and he is truly invincible, and has never encountered any danger to his life. In his spare time, he just eats and drinks every day, and lives a happy life without any heart or lungs. In addition, he can achieve the ultimate in every realm, which is the absolute ceiling level, and there is no regret. How can such a weirdo have a demon in his heart? Even the demon in his heart should go around him. This is why Yi Junlin is still fine, because he has no soil for the demon in his heart to grow. The poor old demon in his heart, he was full of confidence to use his ultimate move, but in the eyes of others, he danced an awkward dance. Suddenly, Yi Junlin seemed to have thought of something and scolded sternly, "Old man, don't try to seduce me with your dancing. I won't do that." The inner demon old man. Hey, you kid, don't slander me. I have never thought of dancing to please anyone in my life. I have no choice but to run away. Seeing that his killer weapon failed, the old man with the inner demon decisively turned around and ran away, with an extremely strong desire to survive. After living for so long and finally reaching this age, who would want to die so soon? Haha, can you escape? Yi Junlin had a teasing smile on his lips, raised his hand and activated thousands of golden sword energies to explode away. Swish swish swish, the sword energy is like a golden river, rushing mightily in the air, its momentum is unstoppable. No, desperate cries came. The inner demon old man could not escape, and was enveloped by the vast and terrifying sword energy, and his whole body dissipated bit by bit like wind. This chaotic evil spirit was killed by Yi Junlin. It can only be said that it died in a really depressing way. Even if the immortal emperor came over, it would be difficult to escape from the inner demons, but it happened to encounter a monster that it could never imagine in this life. With the death of the inner demon old man, the creatures of the butterfly immortal tribe who were still succumbed to the inner demons all recovered, their eyes clear as before, but their confusion was mixed with surprise, as if they felt something disappearing from their bodies. The sacrificial spirit is dead. A male butterfly immortal shouted in pain. In an instant, like a chain reaction, countless butterfly immortals collapsed, wailing, and their hearts were filled with despair and panic. Over the long years, the butterfly immortal clan relied on the protection of the inner demon old man and possessed extremely special magical powers, which frightened countless monks from the outside world. Now that the inner demon old man is dead, the butterfly immortal clan has naturally lost that weird ability and has become ordinary. In terms of combat power, the butterfly immortal clan is actually quite weak. The feeling of suddenly falling from the top of the Kunlun world's food chain to the bottom is difficult for all butterfly immortals to accept, and there is a huge sense of gap. Axiong's face was full of shock. Looking at the elegant figure, he said with difficulty, he really did it. Warm reminder. If you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error, or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 415, C417 A weird cry. She had to accept this result even if she didn't want to, and at the same time she was secretly glad that she didn't take sides in advance. Now that the sacrificial spirit has been killed, Yajidi's lineage can be preserved according to the agreement. As for Nestendi, Axiong looked at the male butterfly immortal nearby with sympathy in her eyes. When sadness permeated the butterfly immortal tribe, many male butterfly immortals could not bear the change of situation and roared hysterically at Yi Junlin. You monster! He died because of your sacrifice to the spirit. How do you expect us to gain a foothold in the Kunlun world in the future? Ah Zhang's delicate body trembled, and she was too frightened to speak. This time, I really wanted to die. A playful smile appeared on Yi Junlin's lips. Don't worry, I will send you all away, to reunite with that old guy who likes to dance. As he spoke, he controlled a large amount of golden sword energy and shot towards the group of male butterfly immortals who were shouting. Swish swish swish, the sword energy was extremely sharp and powerful, wildly harvesting the lives of all the male butterfly immortals present. Screams, wails, and pleas for mercy filled the sky. Senior, don't kill me, give me another chance. Wait, am I going to die even if I don't say anything? Brothers, every one of you who can escape counts. Otherwise, the Neston butterfly will really be extinct. On the other hand, the female butterfly fairies all had their beautiful eyes widened and their delicate bodies were as stiff as wood. They watched helplessly as the male butterfly fairies around them were slaughtered, and the air was filled with the strong smell of blood. Not a moment, all the nestling butterflies were killed, and not a single one was left. In this world, only the elegant butterfly is left. Yi Junlin, with his long silver hair flying, came to Axiong with his hands behind his back, and said calmly, I keep my word, let you go like a group of butterflies, and stay in the immortal mountain honestly from now on. You can't go anywhere, do you understand? Obey, obey. Under the strong pressure of the young man, Axiong lowered her head and trembled like a quail. The other female butterfly fairies burst into tears, their eyes fearful and helpless. In their eyes, Yi Junlin is a terrifying demon king. Presumably a few years later, in the ancient records of the butterfly immortal clan, there will be something like this. During the tribe's sacrifice, a white-haired demon king suddenly came and not only killed the sacrificial spirits who were guarding the butterfly immortal clan, but also made sacrifices in the tribe. He started killing, causing the extinction of Neston butterflies, and the glorious butterfly immortal clan began to decline. Ahem. Looking at the group of female butterfly fairies who were crying so hard, Yi Junlin suddenly had a whim, pretended to cough a few times, and said seriously. Now, tell me loudly, what kind of butterflies are you? Suddenly, all the female butterfly fairies were stunned, not knowing why the other party asked this question. Ah Zhang's eyes were confused and he said tentatively, Senior, haven't you already? Yi Junlin's tone became colder, what? You can't even meet my small request. Axiong was startled and waved her hands anxiously, don't get me wrong, we will never dare to disobey your order. Then shout quickly, the louder the better, remember to be neat, I have obsessive-compulsive disorder. Yi Junlin urged. Good. Although I was very depressed that the other party had such a weird request, it was not too much, and Axiong immediately motioned to the other sisters to follow suit. Soon, all the female butterfly fairies had tear-stained faces, and they shouted with all their strength. Ya, Zhu, Dai. It seemed like there were many beautiful girls who had a good life shouting together, with a strong island country style. Yi Junlin closed his eyes and savored the beauty. Well, that's great, it's simply a heavenly sound. Okay, you go about your business. After Yi Junlin said these words, he turned and left. Axiong breathed a sigh of relief, covering her chest with lingering fears. Thinking of the disaster that happened today, she felt deeply afraid. Suddenly, Yi Junlin turned back the same way, his expression very serious. This frightened Axiong half to death, and she thought that the other party was going to regret it. Unexpectedly, this person said seriously. Where are the other tribes? Point me in the direction. Axiong. Then, Yi Junlin officially set off for the nearest Ghost Eye tribe. It is understood that the special abilities of the Ghost Eye clan are all in those weird eyes. And the Ghost Eye tribe's sacrificial spirit is a child. At the same time, after learning that the monks from the eastern region were rioting and resisting collectively, except for the Butterfly Immortal clan, the other three major alien races were all sending troops to suppress them. It was dark outside, and the battle entered a fierce stage. It has to be said that once the three major alien races show their true strength, even the Immortal Alliance team will be unable to resist them, and they will be beaten back and forth. You must know that the alien race itself is not strong in combat and has obvious shortcomings, but relying on their own special abilities, they are definitely the nemesis of countless monks. For example, the Strange Ape tribe has its own forbidden arts field, and they fight for pure physical strength. Many monks are at a disadvantage when encountering them, and they cannot use 30% of their 100% strength. After all, pure physical cultivation is a minority these days. Fortunately, the demon monks have a natural physical advantage, and they are still qualified to compete against the strange apes. Boom boom boom, violent crashes were heard, mixed with the screams of some monks. A general from the strange ape clan became red-eyed and roared, "How dare you, a bunch of lowly animals, to resist us? Go to hell." Taru had a ferocious face as he waved his heavy iron fist, causing terrifying spatial fluctuations. The flesh of many people exploded and turned into blood mist and dispersed. It can be said that the momentum is fierce and unmatched. Kill. The morale of the men behind them soared, and they started to kill the human monks in front, as ferocious as wolves entering a flock of sheep. Damn it, we can't use any spells against these monsters, what should we do? A man said in panic. As soon as he finished speaking, a big furry hand grabbed his head and squeezed it hard, causing his brains to fly everywhere. Hey, it tastes good. Taru licked his palms, showing an expression of enjoyment and perversion. It's over. Everyone's scalp was numb and their hearts were filled with despair. At this moment, a young man with a middle-parted hair rushed over aggressively, clenched his immature fists, hit Taru hard, and shouted. Ugly monster, try my Kun fist. Taru sneered, where do you get the gadgets from and dare to challenge labor? He subconsciously reached out to grab it, but a sense of warning arose in his heart for no reason. The moment his fist made contact, Taru's entire arm exploded into a mist of blood. Ah! Taru screamed in pain, with tears and runny eyes coming out. He looked at the boy with a middle-parted head and his eyes were filled with fear. It was as if the other party was not a child, but a violent ancient beast. Who are you? The boy with a middle-parted hair wiped his nose, raised his head and said proudly, Master usually calls me a Kun, but you have to call me Master Kun. He is Yi Junlin's mount, Kunpeng. Although every monster ape has first-class physical skills, in front of Kunpeng, who is in the ranks of mythical beasts, they are as weak as a baby. The gap is too big and insurmountable. Come on, deal with this kid first. Taru roared. Kill. A large group of strange apes rushed over with red eyes, changing their goals, and wanted to tear the young man into pieces alive. Well done. Akun was in high spirits and shuttled back and forth among the group of strange apes, his shoulders shaking rapidly and rhythmically, each blow bursting out with terrifying force. Ah! The surrounding strange apes screamed and flew out like rag bags, one by one exploding into blood mist in the air. The scene was very bloody. Taru was trembling with fear and sweating profusely. After finishing the solution, Akun flew over his head, raised his immature fist, and grinned, we'll see you later. The fist fell straight down, and the vast fist enveloped Taru, making it difficult for him to move. He begged for mercy out of fear. Master Kun, please spare my life. Bang! The huge body exploded instantly, like a balloon being popped by a needle. HMPH, it's too late to call Master Kun now. Akun said angrily. The surviving monks behind him were stunned. How come this young man, seemingly young, has such profound attainments in physical training? Thank you, Lord Kun, for helping me. Everyone did not dare to neglect and quickly thanked him. A Kun waved his hand, it's easy to do harm. After saying that, he turned into a huge kunpeng and soared into the sky, heading to other battlefields to support him. It turns out to be Senior Yi's mount. No wonder it's so fierce. Seeing this, everyone said in awe. Chapter 416, C418 Turn the Tide. Gongzhou. On one battlefield, two groups of people were fighting fiercely, and the shouts were deafening and resounded throughout the sky. As the strongest cultivating force in the local area, Taoist sect naturally took up the banner of uprising and fought against the alien army in a fierce battle. Boom boom boom. The sound of explosions from fists to flesh was as dense as rain, which was frightening to hear. One after another, huge strange ape creatures flew out with blood vomiting from the mouth, knocking the companions behind them to pieces. Damn it, how can this human woman be so powerful? A strong one-eyed ape who was the leader of the team said with a gloomy face and gritted his teeth. She was a tall and graceful girl wearing goose-yellow clothes. Her hair was simply tied up, revealing her jade-white ears and neck. Her skin was like cream, her beautiful eyes were bright, and her fists were clenched in a fighting posture, like a little female leopard who refuses to admit defeat. The dazzling brilliance of the 9 stars that emerged behind her made her look as powerful as the mysterious Lady of the 9 Heavens. Today's in Miaoyi, with the help of the star immortal body and the cultivation of the 9-turn star art, although her cultivation level is not yet that of an immortal king, her combat power has already surpassed that of an immortal king. In the eastern region, her reputation is second only to Shui Wuan, and she is hailed by the outside world as the strongest female monk besides the Red Immortal. This time there was a collective riot in the 14 states, and strong men from all walks of life jumped out to resist. Under her leadership, Taoist sect also joined in, and fought fiercely with the strange ape tribe in front of them. In the past, the strange apes benefited from the realm of forbidden arts and used their physical strength to rampage on the battlefield, causing countless monks to suffer. At the critical moment, and Miaoyi appeared, turning the battle situation around in an instant and overwhelming these strange apes. The reason why she can do this is because she is naturally gifted in physical fitness. The biggest function of the star immortal body is to integrate the power of the stars into the physical body and continuously temper the body. When combined with the 9-turn star art that is suitable for the physique, and Miaoyi's physical body has become very powerful in a subtle way. She looks like a female figure with skinny arms and legs, but she is actually a ferocious female Tyrannosaurus. Once she gets close to her, she will deal damage to her face, and her advantage will be full instantly. Therefore, this team of strange apes happened to be kicked onto the iron plate and was torn to pieces by Miaoyi's silky combos. They were screaming in agony. Facing Miaoyi's strength, the one-eyed monster was frightened and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He began to think about how to deal with this human woman. Shanxian is so strong. Even if she competes with those monsters in physical skills, she still doesn't fall behind at all. That's right, she is worthy of the title of female war goddess. She is truly worthy of the title. The sect leader is so awesome. Seeing Miaoyi's strength, the monks were full of confidence and their morale was high. Miss, she is getting more and more powerful, Fan Desheng said with emotion. During this period of time, that girl was an out-and-out training madman, pursuing perfection and polishing every fighting move to the extreme. But Fan Desheng knew very well in his heart that the reason why he worked so hard was to silently catch up with Senior Yi. Even if you can never catch up, you will always use this as your goal. Now, when they heard that Senior Yi had made a strong return and led an organization called the Immortal Alliance to launch a crusade against the 4 major alien races, everyone knew that the opportunity had come, and they all stepped forward to respond. The passionate feeling once burned through my body again. Just do it and it's done. Come again. At this time, Miaoyi, who was ready to attack, turned into a stream of light and attacked the enemy team. The dense fists flew out like meteors. Everywhere they went, there were bodies flying with flesh and blood, and screams occurred one after another. This crazy woman, seeing the overwhelming defeat, the leading one-eyed ape was angry and anxious. Suddenly, a foreign force appeared on the battlefield and headed straight for the rebel army on Miaoyi's side. No, it's the Ghost Eye clan, Fan Desheng exclaimed. No, all the monks' faces turned pale. They have heard of the special abilities of the Ghost Eyes, they are very scary and inexplicable. Haha, our support is here. The one-eyed ape was overjoyed. As soon as he finished speaking, a white fist containing infinite power fell hard on his face. Bang, a dull explosion sounded, a headless corpse fell down, blood spurting from the broken neck. Ghost Eyes clan. There was a thin layer of sweat on Miaoyi's forehead, Her slightly sizable chest was rising and falling, and her almond-shaped eyes were fixedly staring at the group of Ghost Eye clan members who broke into the battlefield. A look of hatred appeared on her pretty face. Different from the strange ape clan who compete with the physical body, the strange eyes of the Ghost Eye clan can make the target they see fall into an illusion and suffer torture in the infinite illusion. The most terrifying thing is that they can make the target tortured in the illusion for 1,000 years, while only 1 second passes in the real world. The reason why Miaoyi knew so clearly was because her father, and Zizi, had been subjected to such torture by a strong man from the Ghost Eye clan when the Taoist sect was oppressed. She will never forget that in the main hall that day, her father was tortured to the point of talking nonsense and becoming insane, while the other party laughed loudly and walked away gracefully. Until now, her father is sometimes crazy, sometimes crying and laughing, and can no longer distinguish between reality and fiction. So much so that she is now the current head of the Taoist sect. In this regard, Miaoyi hates the Ghost Eye clan extremely, and at the same time is very afraid of their special abilities. However, the appearance of this Ghost Eye clan team suddenly tipped the balance of victory once again. HMPH, you bunch of lowly animals, do you really think you will succeed? The leader was a tall man with long blue hair wearing animal skin clothing. Those eyes were as dark as ink, which was really weird. Don't look into their eyes. Someone exclaimed. Hearing this, many monks quickly closed their eyes in panic and switched to using their spiritual consciousness to detect the movements of the outside world. Who knows? The green-haired man sneered. It's ridiculous, do you think this will work? The pupil technique of our Ghost Eye clan can make all targets we see fall into illusions. After saying that, he activated his pupil technique. The pair of pitch-black eyes erupted with a strange light, constantly scanning the monks present. In an instant, all the monks who were seen seemed to have lost their souls, lost in the illusion created. Soon, screams of fear rang out one after another, and many people fell to the ground with pain on their faces, twitching wildly, and foaming at the mouth. It is obvious that they have been tortured like never before in the fantasy world, and this torture will be fed back into reality, causing physical and mental devastation. Hurry and block it with something. Fan Desheng said angrily, waving his sleeves and creating a brown light curtain, blocking the line of sight ahead. Everyone followed suit, trying to block the Ghost Eye clan's pupil technique. The green-haired man joked, what a joke. The pupil technique given to my clan by the sacrifice spirit, how could I be stumped by such a little trick? Then, the veins on his forehead were exposed, and he glared fiercely, increasing the power of the pupil technique. Invisibly, pairs of strange black eyes appeared all around Fan Desheng and the others. What? At this moment, everyone was completely confused, and then they were pulled into the illusion, their faces were full of pain, and they were dripping with cold sweat. Screams rang out one after another, echoing between heaven and earth. It's terrible. The green-haired man alone caused the entire rebel army to fall into chaos and be defeated like a mountain. This is the horror of the Ghost Eye clan. The green-haired man was sweating profusely, with a drop of blood flowing from his eyes, and said in a deep voice. Get them all for me, take them back and continue digging, this time until they die. It can be seen that excessive use of the pupil technique will cause damage to his eyes. As you command. The men behind him rushed toward Fan Desheng and others with ferocious smiles on their faces. Don't even think about it. A sweet shout, and Miaoyi, who was hiding in the void, suddenly burst out. With the vision of the stars on her back, she was extremely powerful. The fist she swung erupted with immeasurable light, and her terrifying fist power took off like a dragon. Unexpectedly, a group of ghost-eyed creatures who rushed at the front were completely wiped out by the vast star fist power. Die all of them, and Miaoyi pushed herself forward with all her strength to shoot out, hoping to kill these ghost-eyed tribesmen in one go. It has to be said that Miaoyi is very courageous. She first hides her figure in advance to make the enemy take it lightly, and then seizes the opportunity and then comes out. The main thing is to win by surprise. If they don't rely on pupil skills, the strength of the Ghost Eye clan is only half-assed. If a strong person like Miaoyi gets close to them, they will be easily killed. A bunch of trash. The green-haired man was frightened and angry, and activated his pupil technique again, aiming to target the woman from all directions without blind spots. Not good, and Miaoyi felt a strong warning sign and realized that she was about to fall into an illusion. At this time, an obscure spell came from the horizon, containing a vast and mysterious power. As this mysterious spell sounded, all the people who had fallen into the illusion were forcibly pulled out, and their minds gradually regained consciousness. Am I not being pierced by thousands of arrows in the heart? Fan Desheng was covered in cold sweat, stood up with lingering fear, his eyes were blank. Like him, there were many monks who fell into a state of confusion after being pulled out of the illusion. Because they have spent thousands or even tens of thousands of years in the illusion, the physical and mental pain has been extremely painful and they have become numb. However, after listening to the spell, Fan Desheng and others gradually recovered, as if their injured hearts were soothed. What's going on? The sudden change shocked the green-haired man. The person who recited the incantation was a woman wearing a plain skirt and an extraordinary temperament. Qin Ruyan was seen holding a sword in front of his chest with one hand, muttering words in his mouth, and there was a vision of 3 flowers gathering on top of his head, and he was surrounded by purple energy, which was very mysterious. It was that immortal who saved us. Everyone exclaimed. And Miaoyi couldn't bear to be shocked, regained her composure, seized the opportunity, and started killing the enemy team. Ah! The Ghost Eye clan who lost the effect of their pupil skills were slaughtered at will like lambs, and almost all of them died in a matter of seconds. The green-haired man could not accept this fact, and shouted in a broken voice, "Impossible, this is impossible." He couldn't believe that the pupil technique that the Ghost Eye clan relied on for survival would be broken by a woman using a spell today. Nothing is impossible, and Miaoyi flashed in front of her and punched hard with a cold face. The power of the punch was overwhelming. No, under the horrified gaze, the green-haired man was torn into pieces by the force of the fist, and turned into a ball of blood mist. The battle came to an end. Everyone breathed a heavy sigh of relief, feeling that there was no danger. Thank you so much for your help, Immortal. Fan Desheng bowed his hands in awe. Other monks also hurriedly bowed to express their gratitude. It's just a small favor for you to pass by here. Qin Ruyan's face was calm, and the aura she exuded was so strong that the monks present did not dare to look directly at her. In her memory, there happened to be a spell about restraining the pupil technique of the Ghost Eye clan. As long as this spell was recited, it could effectively help people purify their hearts and minds and rescue them from the illusion of nothingness. Looking at the elegant figure in the plain skirt in front of her, and Miaoyi suddenly felt a little ashamed of herself. This was a feeling she had never had before. She could feel that Qin Ruyan's aura was unfathomable and her strength was absolutely unimaginable. This was a female monk she had never seen before. And Miaoyi tried her best to calm the shock in her heart and said respectfully, "Senior, may I ask if you are from the central region?" "Yes," Qin Ruyan said lightly. Sure enough, everyone had expected it long ago. No wonder the means were so magical. She was worthy of being a strong man from the central region. As if thinking of something, and Miaoyi gritted her teeth and said, "My father was also harmed by the Ghost Eye clan. Now he is in a daze all day long and is not conscious. If you can cure my father, I will ask the Dao sect to reward you handsomely." As he said this, he bowed deeply. Fan Desheng was very uneasy. He was also worried about the condition of the old sect master and Zizai, but he didn't know whether this immortal was willing to treat him. After staring at the woman in yellow for a long time, Qin Ruyan nodded gently, "Okay." She also saw in Miaoyi's performance just now. She was very brave and ruthless, which was completely different from the female cultivators she had seen before, so she was willing to help this favor and make this good relationship. "Thank you, Senior." And Miaoyi was happy and said gratefully, "That's great." The cultivators of the Dao sect were all very happy. Warm tips. If you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 417, C419 Swallow You. Just as the outside world was caught in a big melee, Yi Junlin quickly approached the Ghost Eye tribe in the direction indicated. The atmosphere in the Ghost Eye tribe was very depressing, because just now they received a battle report from the front line that a mysterious woman in a plain skirt appeared and chanted a spell to break the pupil technique of the Ghost Eye tribe, making the large number of tribal warriors sent out lose all their advantages and were slaughtered. On the altar, the old patriarch was reporting the situation to the sacrificial spirit. The sacrificial spirit worshipped by the Ghost Eye tribe was a terrifying child with black and blue skin and wearing a shroud. The body was filled with an evil and strange aura. If ordinary strong people were infected, they would fall into madness on the spot and commit self-mutilation and seek death. "You mean, there is a human woman outside who can break the pupil technique I gave you?" A rather sharp and distorted voice sounded. The ghost baby sat cross-legged in the center of the altar, with a look of surprise in his eyes. It was very surprised by this news. "I remember that the bitch who defeated me back then also silently chanted a strange spell, which allowed her to stabilize her mind and not be affected by my ability." In the ghost baby's mind, the memory goes back to a very long time ago. The figure of the empress who dominated the world still makes it feel frightened and cold on its back. No, it can't be her. That bitch had already fought with many saints from the Juyu camp outside the domain, and finally exploded in the depths of the starry sky. Thinking of this, the ghost baby's blood-red eyes burst into a fierce light, and the ugly little face became particularly hideous. After so many years, it still remembers the tragic defeat at the beginning, which was the greatest shame of its life. Fortunately, the enemy is dead and there is no possibility of resurrection. But the question is, who is that mysterious woman? The ghost baby thought about it and felt that the other party was very likely the successor of the Fuyao Empress. In this way, it makes sense. HMPH, Fuyao, I didn't expect you to have a backup plan, trying to train an heir to revive the glory of Kunlun realm. Unfortunately, that little girl will never grow up. I will find your disciple and return the pain you inflicted on me 1,000 times. I will make her want to live but not die, and finally let her become a tool for the entire tribe to vent, hehehehe. A terrifying and shrill laugh came out of the ghost baby's mouth, sounding very evil. Master Ji Ling, are you going to do it yourself? The chief of the Ghost Eye clan said in surprise. In his eyes, Ji Ling is a godlike existence. Let me ask, even the gods have taken action personally, is there any possibility for those lowly rebels to win? This time is special, I must go there in person. The ghost baby stood up and said meaningfully. It couldn't wait to catch the enemy's disciple and torture and humiliate him severely. Then, the ghost baby disappeared from the altar, and when it reappeared, it was already 1,000,000 miles away. Huh, that little thing is going to run away. Sensing the strange breath flashing by, Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes and hurriedly set off to chase it. At this time, the ghost baby just wanted to speed up and cross the 100,000 immortal mountains, but suddenly felt an amazing aura behind it firmly locked on it. Who? The ghost baby's hair stood on end, and he turned around in shock and anger. I saw a young man tearing through the void in front of him, with long silver white hair fluttering, a chic and elegant temperament, a handsome face, and a playful look in his eyes. Hello, Yi Junlin smiled and greeted him, seemingly without hostility, and behaved very friendly. Who are you? How dare you follow me? The ghost baby showed a fierce look, bearing a large mouthful of sharp teeth. For some reason, when this young man appeared, a sense of warning suddenly rose in its heart. As if reminding the other party that it was very dangerous. What it didn't know was that one of its kind had just died at the hands of the other party not long ago. It was so miserable. I am Yi Junlin, the leader of the current Shandao Alliance. Yi Junlin smiled. Leader of the Shandao Alliance. Hearing this title, the ghost baby's eyes suddenly changed. All creatures born in ancient times know what the concept of the Shandao Alliance represents. A strong man like Emperor Tian wanted to establish the Shandao Alliance and become the leader himself, but he was beaten by the other 3 strong men at that time and dared not mention it again. And in this era, someone actually called himself the leader of the Shandao Alliance. The ghost baby looked at Yi Junlin with a scrutinizing look, and said in a mocking tone, I don't care whether you are true or false. You are taking the initiative to come to me now. Are you trying to persuade me not to interfere in the disputes outside? If so, you will probably be disappointed. With the title of the leader of the Shandao Alliance, it is not afraid to force itself to stop. Little friend, you misunderstood. I came here specifically to beat you to death. For the sake of respecting the elderly and loving the young, I allow you to tell your last words. Do you have anything else to say? Yi Junlin's smile remained as warm as ever. Ghost baby. The next second, its teeth clenched and it was so angry that a billowing black gas came out of its head. This guy is so arrogant. I am the legendary Chaos Evil Spirit. Can you kill me at will? Human, you have to pay for your words and deeds. The ghost baby was furious, staring at Yi Junlin with bloodshot eyes, which was extremely weird. In an instant, the world was spinning. Yi Junlin was in a daze for a moment, and his pupils that were about to be dilated suddenly focused, and traces of terrifying sword intent were flowing. This is the invincible sword heart coming into play to destroy the illusion created by Guiying for Yi Junlin. How could it be? The ghost baby was shocked. Its best move actually failed. When fighting Empress Fuyao back then, at least the other party had to recite the spell silently to break it. Why now when facing this young man, he couldn't even hold off for a moment and a half? Haha, something, but not much. Yi Junlin stretched out his hand with a sneer, and when he slowly clenched it, his fist burst into bright light like the sun, lingering with the power of millions of laws, containing infinite power. Guess, if I punch you, will you die directly, or will you be half dead? See this. The ghost baby was so shocked that his eyes almost popped out, his face full of disbelief. What did it see? The young man in front of me actually unleashed an immortal level cultivation. Impossible. How can the current laws of heaven and earth allow the appearance of the immortal Lord? How did you do it? The ghost baby screamed. You must know that as a chaotic evil spirit, an existence that has some relationship with the way of heaven cannot do this. Possible. Yi Junlin pretended to be deep and said, it's because I'm more handsome. Hearing this answer, Gu Ying was so angry that he almost vomited blood. It's so stinky and shameless. Don't think that you will win if you have the upper hand in cultivation. Even if you are an immortal lord, I am capable of killing him. The ghost baby's eyes were fierce, and he burned his life source decisively, and his whole body erupted with billowing black energy like wolf smoke. In terms of strength, it is much stronger than the inner demon old man. I swallow it. In an instant, Yi Junlin's surroundings became pitch black. What he saw was not a jungle or a blue sky, but a pure black deep emptiness. There was a viscous liquid sliding down the flesh wall, which was extremely corrosive, as if coming into the belly of some kind of monster. Ha ha ha, you fell into the trap. This is my devouring technique. Even if you are a leader in the immortal realm, in my little world, you just wait to be refined. The ghost babies in the outside world laughed triumphantly and danced their little hands constantly, looking very weird and funny. Chapter 418, C420 There is great terror. This powerful swallowing technique can make the target unaware, deeply trapped in its swallowing space, until it is completely refined and becomes the nourishment for its growth. Even the peak immortal master, who possesses the power of tens of millions of laws, can hardly break through this strange space. This is why the ghost baby is so confident. It feels that Yi Junlin, a newly promoted immortal master, is impossible to break out of this cage, and can only be swallowed up in despair and face death. When I completely refine you, I will be able to master all your information and figure out why you can ignore the secrets of the laws of heaven and earth. Hey. The sharp and strange laughter echoed in the sky. Suddenly, the dark sphere in front of it trembled violently at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, a spider web-like crack emerged along the top. Crack, crack, crack. Bang, the dark sphere was broken abruptly, and a familiar silver-haired figure appeared again. Yi Junlin put away his fist and said seriously, sorry, I'm out. The ghost baby's laughter stopped abruptly, as if it saw a terrifying monster, and said with a look of horror. Why did you come out so quickly? In its eyes, Yi Junlin's strength was ridiculously strong. He was obviously a newly promoted immortal, but he could do this so quickly. But Yi Junlin himself felt that this was just a normal operation. That punch, infused with his whole body strength, under the effect of the 9th grade immortal power, can be said to be a god who kills gods and Buddhas who stand in his way. Don't look at his cultivation as only a primary immortal, but the fighting power that bursts out with all his strength is definitely the top level of the immortal realm. After all, Yi Junlin, who has been superimposed with various system rewards, can no longer be explained by common sense. This time, the ghost baby felt a deep fear of the young man in front of him whose origin was unknown but whose strength was ridiculously strong. Even this feeling was far stronger than when he faced the Fuyao Empress. Thinking back to the past, I had to go through a fierce battle before I was defeated miserably. But now, I was suppressed by the opponent from beginning to end. What's the point of fighting? Now, you can die. Yi Junlin dodged and punched hard. The golden fist force turned into a real dragon to smash the sky. Boom. Facing the overwhelming sense of oppression, the ghost baby knew that he could not take this punch and had to flee the scene. Damn it, this is the only way. Making up his mind, the ghost baby's head and neck separated. When the head flew out at the speed of light, it instantly split into tens of millions of identical heads, rushing in all directions like a black tide. Human race, remember, I will take revenge. Tens of millions of ghost babies shouted in unison, the sound shook the earth and resounded for thousands of miles. After destroying the opponent's body, Yi Junlin looked around at the baby heads that were spreading around, his eyes showing surprise, which was soon replaced by a cold light. You want to escape by this means, do you really think you are a kid? As soon as the voice fell, he held a single hand in front of his chest, and a golden flying sword rushed out from behind him, and then turned into a vast golden sword energy, shooting towards the surroundings like a immortal scattering flowers. Swish swish swish, the golden sword energy in the sky chased a large number of baby heads crazily, piercing these weird heads one by one. The scene was very spectacular and visually impactful. No, I only have a head left. Among them, one head was full of fear, feeling that there was a flying sword chasing behind him, and was so scared that tears flowed down, making a sharp cry like a baby. The ghost baby was completely desperate. I thought that after I woke up, I would be invincible in the world, and I would unite with 3 other similar people to become the ancestors of the 4 strange things, and raise millions of creatures in Kunlun realm as nutrients and dream of a carefree dream. Unexpectedly, a young man of unknown origin suddenly came to take its life. The most terrifying thing is that its strength is extremely abnormal. If I return to the realm of the former immortal emperor, you will definitely die. Now it is really God's will to kill me. The ghost baby cried out sadly. Swish, a sharp gust of wind came from the back of the head, and soon I felt a strong stinging sensation in the head. Before dying, the ghost baby used up the last will to convey important information to other similar people. Everyone, I have encountered an accident, there is a great terror here. Puff, the head was pierced by a golden sword, and the consciousness suddenly fell into endless darkness. With the fall of the ghost baby, the remaining tens of thousands of heads disappeared in the blink of an eye, as if they had never appeared. Done, keep moving. After taking away the flying sword, Yi Junlin turned into a dazzling stream of light and rushed to the next location at an incredible speed. This time he was going to the Eclipse God tribe. It is said that the sacrificial spirit of the Eclipse God tribe is the most powerful, and was even called the evil emperor back then. At the same time, all the creatures of the Ghost Eye tribe suddenly felt that something in their bodies had disappeared, and their hearts were empty, with endless sadness and panic. This feeling, could it be that the sacrificial spirit has fallen? The tribe leader was stunned at first, and then collapsed on the spot, kneeling on the ground and looking up at the sky, crying out of control. No, a desperate cry of grief rang out in the Ghost Eye tribe. Without the power of pupil technique, their status in the future can be imagined. Thanks to the timely transmission of information by the ghost baby before its death, the other 2 chaotic evil spirits knew about it. After all, they were originally the evil thoughts that were cut down by the heavenly Tao, and to some extent, they had a spiritual resonance. At this moment, the remaining 2 chaotic evil spirits were all confused. Although they were usually in a check and balance relationship with each other, they would definitely inform each other when something really important happened. The ghost baby is dead, the question is, what is the great terror it mentioned? On the altar of the Eclipse God tribe, the middle-aged man who had just swallowed the last batch of Tianyuan crystals stood up and looked into the distance. His face was evil and he had a strong and strange aura all over his body, which could be called a top posture. He had an extremely terrifying power hidden in his body, and even his aura surpassed the immortal emperor, belonging to the level of a half-step immortal venerable, wandering on the edge of the restrictions of the laws of heaven and earth. This is the evil emperor, the leader of the 4 chaotic evil spirits. Thinking of the information conveyed by the ghost baby, the evil emperor's face was particularly gloomy, and his eyes kept changing. As chaotic evil spirits, aren't they the greatest terror in Kunlun realm? Now, another great terror has appeared and killed the ghost baby with decent strength. What's going on? Humph, things are getting more and more interesting. I want to see what kind of existence can threaten me in this era. The evil emperor put his hands behind his back, his figure was majestic, and he had an invincible and powerful aura. Far away in the strange ape tribe. Roar, the evil dragon roared. A huge body, flapping its wings that covered the sky, covered with hard black scales, and with 3 heads, rose from the altar, releasing a terrifying dragon power with a strong sense of oppression. Great sacrificial spirit, please calm down. The people of the entire tribe knelt on the ground, saying in fear, not knowing why the sacrificial spirit had such a big reaction. The Dark Lord looked down at the devout believers below and said coldly, "Pass on my order to withdraw the troops immediately. We have to deal with more powerful enemies." Faced with the threat revealed by the ghost baby, it must make a perfect plan and deal with the next big enemy first. Yes. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 times 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 times 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 419. C421 Crazy Dog Barking. Due to the demise of the Butterfly Immortal clan and the Ghost Eye clan, the only remaining threats are the other 2 alien races, which has greatly reduced the pressure on the eastern region cultivators. The balance of victory is tilting. Desolate state. The sky and the earth are dimmed, and the void is cracking and shattering. The scene is so terrible that it makes people's scalps numb. Fellow Taoists, the cultivators of Xuantian sector here. On the battlefield, a cultivator covered in blood said in surprise. Go. Looking around, countless cultivators wearing Xuantian sect costumes flew in with the escape light, quickly supporting the various forces on the battlefield and launching a fierce charge against the alien army. The shouts and killings were like a tsunami, spreading across thousands of miles, and the scene was very spectacular. Humph, no matter how many people come, my Eclipse God clan is the nemesis of all your cultivators. A middle-aged man with a prismatic crystal on his forehead and a hideous scar on his face said with disdain. How shameless! The sect leader Shu Yunian shouted angrily, and countless blue thunders lingered all over his body, just like the thunder god standing in the void above the 9 heavens, holding the thunder spear and throwing it out with great momentum. Chila, this thunder spear carried a sharp sound of breaking the wind, and had the powerful power to seriously injure the immortal king. The strong man of the Eclipse God clan sneered, raised his hand and condensed the thunder spear, and threw it out. The moves were exactly the same. Bang! The power was actually equal, cancelling each other out. The rumor is true. Shu Yunian's face was ugly. The Eclipse God clan, the leader of the 4 major alien races, has the ability to copy the magical powers of cultivators 1-to-1, and the power can be consistent. Are you scared now? The good show has just begun. The scarred man had a grim smile on his face, and the prism on his forehead flashed with a faint light. Invisibly, invisible radioactive substances were released, spreading in all directions like a tide. One after another, monks had splitting headaches, feeling that their spirits were under attack, as if being corroded by some strange power. This is the second greatest ability of the Eclipse God clan, mental pollution. And the tribesmen of the scarred man also used this method, directly ignoring the allies of the monster ape tribe and attacking indiscriminately. This time, even the monster ape tribe couldn't stand it, and screamed in pain, "Erosion God clan, what do you mean? It's really hard to cooperate with you guys with developed muscles and simple minds. Get out of here, we don't need you here." The scarred man sneered. "Damn, you!" The little leader gritted his teeth, wishing he could rush over and beat the other party up. "Chief," the tribe suddenly sent a message asking us to withdraw quickly. "Why don't we hand this place over to them?" the subordinate whispered. The little leader was stunned at first, then suppressed his anger. "It can only be like this, retreat." Afterwards, batches of monster ape teams withdrew from the battlefield and rushed to the nest of the 10,000 Immortal Mountains. "Without you, the Eclipse clan's actions will be smoother," the scarred man sneered. On the battlefield, the hearts of the cultivators sank to the bottom of the valley. Logically speaking, without the threat of the strange ape tribe, the pressure on the Eastern Region coalition should be less, but the pressure has become greater. Because the Eclipse clan has activated its second major ability, the mental pollution caused is hard to guard against. "Master, our heads hurt so much." The mental state of the other peak masters was extremely poor. They pulled their hair frantically, their eyeballs bulged out, and their eyes were white. Shu Yunian was also very uncomfortable, and his heart was full of despair. In this situation, how could there be a possibility of confrontation? It is bound to fail. At this moment, a shocking dog barking sounded, echoing between heaven and earth. Woof! In an instant, countless cultivators who had splitting headaches suddenly felt much better. The strange power that eroded the spirit was instantly dispelled. Who was barking? The scarred man realized that something was wrong and turned his head sharply. An old Taoist priest with yellow hair and a look like a human came with a whisk in his hand and auspicious clouds under his feet. It was Go Buli. "Senior Go, your dog barking is really useful," the leader of Kangjian Peak beside him said in surprise. "That's right, I am a member of the Tiango clan, and the barking I make can drive away the pollution from the spiritual level and keep people awake." Go Buli said proudly. "Thank you, Senior." Shu Yunian, who felt much better, bowed and said respectfully. "Master, I completed the task successfully. I didn't disappoint you." The leader of Kangjian Peak laughed. Shu Yunian smiled. "Not bad, you did a good job. By the way, where is the donkey that followed you before?" He suddenly noticed something and asked curiously. "Don't mention it. I don't know either," the leader of Kangjian Peak said unhappily. At this time, the appearance of Go Buli was like a ray of dawn shining into the battlefield, and the morale of all the cultivators soared. "I don't believe it. Increase your strength," the scarred man roared. "Yes." Then, the prisms on the foreheads of the Eclipse clan monks present burst into brilliant light, and a vast sea of radioactive substances was released, soon covering everyone. "Want to play, right? I'll play with you." Just when everyone was feeling the pain, Go Buli sneered, closed his eyes and took a deep breath, then stared and started barking like a dog. Woof 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 woof. The dog barking was extremely loud, containing some kind of magical power. All the monks recovered again, with expressions of enjoyment on their faces, and felt that the barking of dogs was like the sound of nature. See this scene. The scarred man's eyes were about to burst, and he was so angry that he shouted furiously, "Can you stop barking when you step on the horse?" He finally understood that as long as this damn bitch was around, the Eclipse God clan's second greatest ability would become useless. Goobuli raised his eyebrows and squinted. "You care about me? I can call you whatever you want. I'll kill you." The scarred man roared over and charged hard with his palm. "Do you really think I can only bark like a dog?" Goobuli sneered and raised the dog's paw, reaching out as fast as lightning. Ah! The scarred man exploded into a ball of blood mist, and the screams fell silent. Looking at a group of Eclipse God clan monks with panic-stricken faces, he ignored his gaze and said from the passage, "I have learned about your abilities. In addition to mental pollution, you also have magical powers to copy. But as long as you don't use your magical powers, your abilities are useless." After saying that, he continued to stretch out the dog's paws and grabbed a lot of Eclipse God clan monks. After all, Goobuli's current strength was at the level of a top immortal emperor, and it was easy to kill these half-qualified aliens. "Senior Go is right, fellow Taoists, kill him." The master of Hidden Sword Peak pulled out his long sword and said excitedly. Afterwards, the monks continued to charge and use basic moves, beating the enemy back steadily. After a while, all the members of the Eclipse God clan were killed. Rivers of blood flowed at the scene, and the ground was devastated. I, the leader of the Xuantian sect, am young. Fortunately, you, senior, took action, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Shu Yunian flew over specially and solemnly thanked him. "It's because your Xuantian sect has a close relationship with fellow Taoist Yi, so I'm going to help you by the way." Goobuli stroked his beard and smiled. "I see." Shu Yunian nodded, secretly thinking that Junior Brother Yi's connections were really strong. "Sect Master, you don't know that Junior Brother Yi is so powerful now. Everyone in the Central Territory knows it. In Xuantian Holy Land, he even holds the position of Supreme Holy Lord, and his status is higher than that of the Holy Lord." The Master of Hidden Sword Peak said excitedly. "We have witnessed Taishang Yi's ability with our own eyes. It is normal for him to be able to do this." Thinking of that young man's magical powers, Shu Yunian couldn't help but sigh. "Yes." The other Peak Masters nodded. At this time, a communication light symbol flew through the air. Shu Yunian subconsciously raised his hand to grab it in his hand and read the information. Very good. Now that the 14 states have basically been conquered, the strongest coalition forces are preparing to go deep into the Immortal Mountains to attack the alien clan's lair. Shu Yunian showed an excited look. "Then what are you waiting for? Let's go too," the Master of Hidden Sword Peak said excitedly. Walk. Not long after everyone left, a little donkey with a bruised nose and swollen face appeared in Wangzhou. He sometimes turned his head and looked back, his eyes full of fear. "Damn, it turns out that guy is Long Aotian. Lord Donkey, I am actually stupid enough to challenge such a monster in a duel." Thinking of the scene of being hung up and beaten during the fight, the little donkey felt a lingering fear in his heart and a chill on his back. "I thought I could be the king and hegemon in the Central Territory, so I was looking for hundreds of beautiful female donkeys to be my harem so I could live a life without shame." As a result, the appearance of Long Aotian directly shattered its dream. Along the way, it was chased and beaten. Finally, it used its special escape technique to barely escape the opponent's pursuit. The little donkey felt scared and just wanted to go back to the yard. Unless there was something important, it really didn't want to go out and wander around. The outside world is so dangerous. Chapter 420. C-422 The Power of the Evil Emperor. Seeing that all the lost lands were recovered, the East Region Coalition and the Immortal Alliance were not satisfied with this. They all had a common goal, which was to defeat the remnants of the alien races in the 100,000 Immortal Mountains. Rumble. At this time, the mighty army of cultivators went deep into the Immortal Mountains, full of anger, and wanted to go straight to the Yellow Dragon and flatten the enemy's lair. "Tell me, are you going in that direction? If you tell a lie, I will chop you into meat paste." Li Wuji pointed his knife and asked. Yes, yes, several captured ape captives nodded in fear. Some of the tough ones were slaughtered on the spot. They did not dare to confront this group of cultivators, so they had to explain the location of the tribe. But what no one knew was, it seemed that these captives surrendered on the surface and were submissive, but they actually had evil intentions. They wanted to lead the army of cultivators into the tribe and sacrifice them to the great sacrifice spirit Dark Devil. Because the warriors of the monster ape tribe are full of confidence in the strength of the sacrifice spirit and believe that the sacrifice spirit is invincible. So, just pretend to surrender and retreat to advance. Humph, I don't think you dare to lie to me. Li Wuji sneered. I didn't expect that I would come here again. Qinglian's sword immortal looked at the vast primeval forest in front of him and sighed. Back then, he escaped from the 100,000 immortal mountains in a panic, but who knew that after countless years, he would come back here with a brand new attitude. Let's go quickly, Hong Chenyi urged. Glancing at the captives of the monster ape tribe, the cold and beautiful face revealed murderous intent. It was because of the special abilities of this race that he had no place to use his skills and could only rely on fists and feet to kill the enemy. The race that restrained itself so much must be exterminated today. Let's go. Qinglian's sword immortal gave an order, and the team of resurrectors behind him hurried on the road. Seeing this, the monks' coalition on the east region also hurried to catch up. I didn't expect that the 4 alien races that once dominated the ancient times would be eliminated in this new era. Zhu Jushin and the team showed a look of emotion, feeling that he was witnessing history. At the same time, the Eclipse God tribe was in a state of panic, and the grass and trees were all enemies. The evil emperor put his hands behind his back, his figure was as tall as a mountain, as if he was quietly waiting for something. His momentum was constantly brewing and had reached the critical point of eruption. Swish, a powerful breath quickly approached, causing the entire Eclipse God tribe to be alarmed. The evil emperor suddenly turned his head and looked, his eyes narrowed dangerously. Is it him? At this moment, Yi Junlin came to the territory of the Eclipse God tribe. Standing at the top, his snow-white long hair fluttered in the wind, his handsome face was as beautiful as jade, and his eyes were as bright as stars. Like a god, he overlooked all living beings. There are invaders. A group of tribal warriors rushed out and roared. Countless eyes focused on Yi Junlin, and the air was filled with solemn murderous intent. Yi Junlin ignored the group of minions, but seemed to sense something. His eyes were firmly locked on the middle-aged man, and a strange color flashed across his face. Are you waiting for me? Because it seems that the other party is waiting for him to come. Is it you who killed my kind? The evil emperor looked at the silver-haired young man in front of him with a scrutinizing look. His intuition is very sharp, and he can feel the unfathomable depth of the other party. At the same time, the evil emperor also felt very depressed. How did such a fierce man come out? Why have I never heard of it before? Yi Junlin showed an interested smile. It seems that the little guy is the one who did it. He passed the news to you before he died. In this case, why don't you run? Run. The evil emperor seemed to have heard a big joke, and couldn't help laughing. The laughter contained terrible penetrating power, shaking the whole immortal mountain. Does this seat need to run in this era? Who do you think you are? Just because you get rid of the ghost baby, you think you can kill me too? That's too arrogant. The laughter gradually stopped, and the evil emperor's eyes burst into a terrifying brilliance, and he shouted coldly. Interesting, I hope you can still be stubborn later. Yi Junlin showed a playful smile. My loyal servants, go and test his depth. The evil emperor ordered. Yes. A group of tribal warriors collectively released the power of polluting the spirit, turning into a storm and sweeping towards Yi Junlin. However, Yi Junlin's mental power is as solid as a rock, and he is not disturbed by such low-level tricks at all. What the hell, die! Yi Junlin brushed his sleeves impatiently, and millions of laws of power turned into order chains and threw them out. Ah! In an instant, many tribal warriors were beaten to ashes and almost exterminated. This blow also changed the face of the evil emperor. You, how can you be an immortal? For Yi Junlin's identity, his heart was like a storm. Even he could only reach the half-step immortal, unable to break through the shackles of the laws of heaven and earth. Who would have thought that this mysterious young man in front of him would actually be promoted to the realm of a true immortal? The impact on the mind is really too great. Yes, Yi Junlin smiled. For some reason, he liked to appreciate more and more, and the enemy's shocked expression after learning about his realm. It seems that he is the only immortal in the world. Unique. Yes, the evil emperor shouted angrily. In his mind, he suddenly remembered a rumor from ancient times. It is said that there is a most powerful identity, called the one favored by heaven. This kind of person is favored by heaven and favored by heaven. He is a supreme evildoer who gathers the luck of the entire world. Therefore, when he saw that Yi Junlin was an immortal, the evil emperor couldn't help but think about it. He can ignore the laws of heaven and earth and forcibly advance to the realm of immortal. It seems that he is the one favored by heaven in the rumors. The most important thing is that he came to trouble us chaos evil spirits. Could it be that he was also instructed by heaven? Thinking of this, the evil emperor gritted his teeth, looked up at the vast sky, and his face became particularly fierce. After all, we were once one and the same. Do we have to be forced to this point? In this case, I will kill this kid. Deprive him of all his luck and opportunities. Make up your mind. The evil emperor looked at Yi Junline's eyes again, which were as red as a beast's, and his face was full of murderous intent. He said coldly, "Next, let me see how capable you are." "As you wish." Yi Junline sneered, and his fist burst into a brilliant light, like a god holding the sun in his hand. The scene was very shocking. Fighting Holy Fist. Without any reservation, Yi Junline performed this supreme fist technique, with a golden halo behind him rapidly flowing, emitting a magnificent and indestructible aura. Boom! In an instant, a vast and domineering golden fist print shot out, containing endless terrible power, crushing the void along the way. Haha, is this the move? The evil emperor's eyes flashed with a strange light, and a huge and vast halo also appeared behind him. He released a powerful aura of invincibility and hit a terrifying golden fist print. It's the same fighting Holy Fist, exactly the same. What? Yi Junline was very surprised. One of his strongest killer moves was actually learned by the other party.